Chapter 9:39. How could this happen? After Li Fangyi left, the Qin family could finally have lunch. The kitchen had heated up the dishes 3 times and was ready to cook again. However, Qin Ran said that it was fine and they could just eat it like this. After lunch, it was already past 3 o'clock in the afternoon. No one came to the Qin family uninvited anymore. The Qin family quieted down for a while. At this time, Chang Sini and Hao Mingyi arrived. They were talking about what had happened in the living room. They already knew why Li Fangyi was here. No matter whether what he said was true or not, they would know it when the board of directors or the shareholders meeting was held. Chang Sini and Hao Mingyi didn't expect that things would change so much. However, it was good news for the Qin family and the Chang family. They didn't expect that a political marriage could be so powerful. They had been looking forward to taking control of the Chang and family again. When Master Qin's case was over, the Chang and family would run wild again. Aunt Chang, Uncle Hao, how's the preparation of the lawyers? Qin Ran was very concerned about it. No matter what happened in Chang, and the old man was more important than anything else. They left it to Chang Sini and Hao Mingyi, who knew more about it than anyone else in the Qin family. That way, they wouldn't be distracted. Chang Sini reported honestly, "It's almost ready. Now we just need to wait for the news from the investigation team. Our legal team is strong enough, and we also have some foreign lawyers as our consultants. No matter what the final result is, we will do our best." The Qin family was a little relieved after hearing that. This time, the Qin family spent a lot of money to build this legal team, which was made up of top lawyers both at home and abroad. As long as it was within the framework of the law, they would try their best to reduce old Qin's punishment. However, the environment in China was not as good as that in foreign countries, so it would depend on how much information the investigation team had. However, the joint investigation team was still in the middle of the investigation, and it was difficult for the legal team to meet Qin Chang on. They could only do their best after the formal procedure. Now, they could only do the preliminary preparation. "Aunt Chang, we told you the specific situation just now. When you go back, we will hold a board of directors meeting. If the Li family is really on our side, we don't need to hold a shareholders meeting for the time being. If the Li family breaks their promise, we will directly hold a shareholders meeting to re-elect the board of directors. This time, we can't give sixth uncle any chance." Chang Sini said confidently, "Okay, we will start to prepare after we go back." After talking about these business matters, Qin Ran, who was in a good mood, asked Ma Weiyang to go shopping. Zhao Anji also had a dinner party in the evening. She heard that it was organized by old Zhao's family. She guessed that Zhao Anji was also there to inquire about information or to curry favor with Zhao Anji. Before Zhao Anji left, she told Qin Sheng to invite Song Ryu to the Qin family for dinner tomorrow night. Since the engagement date had been set, it was time to meet Song Ryu. Qin Sheng didn't agree directly. He just asked Song Ryu if she had time. As for Qin Sheng, Xue Qingyan had already arrived in Beijing. Qin Sheng still did not know how to face her, but he could not run away. What would come eventually. In the evening, in a restaurant next to the Forbidden City, Qin Sheng had already booked a private room. He could see the night view of the Forbidden City through the window. He arrived early and waited for Xue Qingyan. Xue Qingyan was already on her way. Qin Sheng felt a little uneasy. His relationship with Xue Qingyan was already complicated. Now that such a thing had happened, he really did not know what to do. How to explain it? There were many people who came to this city and wanted to take root and not leave. There were also many people who left with hatred in the end. Many people loved this place, but there were also many people who hated this place. How many big clans could take root in this city for many years? How many clans could rise and fall in this city without collapsing? Who knew how many people had paid an immeasurable price for this? Some were disappointed, some were regretful, and naturally, there were also people who were proud and satisfied. Qin Sheng was the only one in the room. He looked at the Forbidden City outside the window and was lost in thought. Qin Sheng did not want to come to this city, nor did he want to stay in this city. However, he was a descendant of the Qin family. These things were not up to him at all. However, he did not expect that as a descendant of the Qin family, he would have to pay the price in the end. Perhaps no one would be spared. He did not know how long he had waited. When the waiter knocked on the door, Qin Sheng came back to his senses. He wanted to live in Beijing and Shanghai. In Beijing, there seemed to be endless pressure. In Shanghai, he could be a little more relaxed and casual. This was a tale of two cities that belonged to him. However, the life he liked the most was still the time in Xiamen. That was the memory that belonged to him and Lin Su. It was also the most satisfying life in this life. However, now it seemed that it had become a masterpiece. He was afraid that it would not happen again in this lifetime. When the waiter pushed open the door of the private room, Xue Qingyan, who was behind him, walked in slowly. Dressed in a long black dress, she was cold and beautiful. She was like a black rose that bloomed in the cold winter. Unfortunately, there was no expression on her face today. It seemed that she was trying her best to control her emotions. This made Qin Sheng even more nervous. He was not afraid of being taught a lesson by Xue Qingyan. Even if she hit him or scolded him, he would accept it. He was afraid of losing this friend. Qin Sheng had already stood up and walked over. He smiled apologetically and said, "Sister, you are here." Xue Qingyan ignored Qin Sheng. She walked straight in and sat on the seat where Qin Sheng was just now. She put down her bag casually and stared at Qin Sheng with her big eyes. However, this time, there was no love in her eyes, only endless resentment and anger. "Qin Sheng, you're not the only one." Qin Sheng was a little embarrassed. He smiled bitterly and walked over. He took the initiative to pour a glass of water for Xue Qingyan. He said, "Sister, did I let you down? Let me down?" Xue Qingyan heard this and could not help but sneer. No, you did not let me down. Maybe this is your nature. Moreover, what relationship do we have? What can I do to you if I am disappointed or not? For anyone, the biggest hurt often came from the people closest to them. Xue Qingyan's words did hurt Qin Sheng a little. However, what could he do? He could only bear it silently. Today, even if he had to be a grandson, he had to bear it, unless he did not want Xue Qingyan as a friend. After Qin Sheng put down the glass, he did not sit down. Instead, he stood by the window and said with a long sigh, "Sister, don't say that." Xue Qingyan said without turning her head, "Isn't it? You did not let me down. You should have let everyone down. The most disappointed one should be Lin Su. How much did she sacrifice for you? How much did she sacrifice for you? What did she get in the end? She was abandoned by you just like that?" Qin Sheng, I just want to ask you, what is Lin Su in your heart? If you were Lin Su, would you be disappointed? Would you feel sad? Do you know what you mean to her? You're her whole world. Without you, her world has already collapsed. Originally, the waiter wanted to come into order. However, after hearing the quarrel inside, he was scared and did not dare to go in. He only dared to wait outside obediently, in case he touched his eyebrows and was refused. He was reprimanded. Qin Sheng did not know what to say. He could only bite the bullet and said, "Sister, I will repay what I owe to Lin Su slowly. I have let her down in this life." "Repay? What do you have to repay? Does she need you to repay? I never thought that you would be so selfish." Xue Qingyan continued to vent. Every word she said tonight put pressure on Qin Sheng. In front of her, Qin Sheng retreated step by step. Qin Sheng laughed at himself and said, "Sister, family lover, if it were you, what would you choose? How can you not be selfish? I also want to know the answer. Please tell me." Hearing this, Xue Qingyan instantly fell into silence because she did not know how to answer. When she heard that Qin Sheng was going to be engaged to Song Ruyu, she did not look into the reason behind it all. Directly, she was blinded by excitement and only wanted to seek justice for Lin Su. At that time, she thought that this woman might be able to help Qin Sheng, so Qin Sheng abandoned Lin Su and chose Song Ruyu. Now, it did not seem to be the case. Grandma said that only if I choose Song Ruyu, the Qin family's predicament will be solved and the old man's ending will be better. Although he has not cared about me these years, after all, he is my father. Secondly, there are also my aunt, my sister, and Yaya. As long as I sacrifice my marriage, they will not be so tired. Maybe it is enough to change their lives because I am the only man in the Qin family. Because only if I choose Song Ruyu, the Zhu family and the Song family will help me. But what if I refuse? It is impossible for the Song family to get involved in the Qin family's affairs, and the Zhu family will also stay away, because for the Zhu family, the price to pay is too high. But for the Qin family? Sister, what should I do? What should I choose? Qin Sheng continued to say, but at the end, his voice sounded a little helpless. He knew that by doing this, many people would be disappointed, but how could he explain? In the end, he just let everyone misunderstand him. He did not care anymore. After all, this was his choice, and he had to bear the price. How could he let everything go his way? Shui Qingyan had already calmed down. After hearing these words, she had a headache. She did not have the strength to scold Qin Sheng. She knew that Qin Sheng could not be that kind of person, but she could not accept this fact. She just wanted to fight for Lin Su. Shui Qingyan muttered to herself, "You sacrificed yourself, and also sacrificed Lin Su." She really did not expect that Qin Sheng and Lin Su would have such a day. Although she liked Qin Sheng and wanted to be with him, she did not want to monopolize him. She just wanted Qin Sheng to give her a little love, because Qin Sheng belonged to Lin Su, and because Lin Su had done too many things for Qin Sheng. She was the woman Qin Sheng loved most. But now, from now on, they would be like strangers. Qin Sheng was not defending himself. He did not want to defend anything, because the truth was the truth. But he would not give up Lin Su, because he had a change of heart. So he let out a long sigh and said, "Sister, I have no choice. Do you understand?" Shui Qingyan had never thought that one day she would worry about others' affairs. Maybe it was because this was Qin Sheng and Lin Su. She really did not want to see Qin Sheng and Lin Su separated, and she did not want them to feel regret. So finally, she could not help but say, but she is already pregnant with your child." After hearing this, Qin Sheng's mind went blank. He was stunned as if he had been struck by lightning. He did not come to his senses for a long time. Why did this happen? Chapter 940. I got it. Why did this happen? Qin Sheng did not expect that there would be such an accident. Why didn't he know? Why didn't he know until now? Why didn't he know earlier? Lin Su was pregnant. Lin Su was pregnant with his child, but he abandoned her just like that. What had he done? Was this what he should do? Why didn't Lin Su tell him? Why? Qin Sheng finally understood why Shui Qingyan would say that. It was because Shui Qingyan knew more than him, because Shui Qingyan knew what kind of pain Lin Su was suffering, because Shui Qingyan knew how pitiful and wronged Lin Su was. Therefore, she would fight for Lin Su. When Qin Sheng came back to his senses, he had a splitting headache. Subconsciously, he sat down and held his head with both hands on the table. At this moment, Qin Sheng was extremely agitated. His eyes were lifeless, and his state of mind was in a complete mess. He did not know how to face this matter. At this moment, he realized how much he owed Lin Su. He might not be able to repay her for the rest of his life. What should he do next? Qin Sheng did not know how to face it, but he had to face it, because running away was not the solution. No matter how painful it was, he had to solve it. Why didn't you tell me earlier? Qin Sheng asked numbly. Shui Qingyan saw Qin Sheng's reaction. She did not know if what she did was right or wrong, but she was sure that Qin Sheng really did not know. If Qin Sheng knew and still broke up with Lin Su, Shui Qingyan's circle of friends would probably not have Qin Sheng anymore. Shui Qingyan was a little worried. Lin Su did not let me tell you. I thought you already knew. When did it happen? Qin Sheng murmured. Shui Qingyan answered honestly. More than half a month ago. I accompanied Lin Su to the hospital. It should be 2 months now. Why didn't she tell me? Qin Sheng questioned. Shui Qingyan thought for a moment and said, because she knew that you were under too much pressure because of the Qin family. She did not want to put more pressure on you. Maybe she wanted to tell you after the Qin family matter was over. Or maybe she wanted to give you a surprise. So she did not tell you. But she did not expect this result. She did not have a chance to tell you. Qin Sheng said with red eyes, I'm sorry. This apology was naturally meant for Lin Su. Did you guys break up? Shui Qingyan didn't know about this until she heard the news. Thinking about Lin Su's recent behavior, she guessed that they might have broken up. Qin Sheng did not deny it. He nodded and said, Yes, I went back to Shanghai and mentioned it to her face to face. She did not say anything. You know she is very competitive, so she will not say anything. If my friend in Beijing hadn't told me that you and Song Ruyu from the Song family were getting engaged, I probably wouldn't have guessed that you had broken up. I told her that she was in a very bad state when I saw her recently. I thought it was because she was too busy with work or because she was pregnant. I didn't expect it to be because of this. She never told me about it. She just endured it silently. Qin Sheng, can you bear to see her like this? Shui Qingyan knew that Qin Sheng was in pain at the moment, but who knew how much pain Lin Su was in? Qin Sheng straightened up and asked in a trembling voice, "Sister, is she all right? What do you think? If you really want to know, you can go and see for yourself." Shui Qingyan did not want to take any responsibility. Lin Su needed Qin Sheng the most, not her. Qin Sheng shook his head quickly and said, "No, I can't see her anymore. I can't disturb her life anymore." "What about her? What about the child?" "That is your child." Shui Qingyan was a little angry. She didn't expect Qin Sheng to be so heartless. Was this still the Qin Sheng she knew? She thought that after Qin Sheng knew about this, he would take it back for the sake of the child. But Qin Sheng was so determined. At this point, there was no turning back. No one would benefit. If Qin Sheng suddenly broke off the engagement at this time, he would completely offend the Song family. At the same time, he would also disappoint the Zhu family and the Qin family. He would be completely alone and put Lin Su and the Lin family in danger. Moreover, Lin Su was pregnant with their child. Only by continuing to move forward could he protect Lin Su and their child. The premise was that Lin Su wanted to keep this child. "Sister, go back and tell Lin Su that if she wants to give birth to this child, I don't mind. But she must not give birth in China. At least at present, I don't have the ability to protect them. When I have a right to speak, I will definitely take her and this child home. If she doesn't want this child, I won't have any complaints. Lin Su doesn't owe me anything, and I have no right to ask her for anything. She has the right to choose." Qin Sheng said firmly. This was the safest way at present, and also the best way that Qin Sheng could think of. However, when he thought that his first child would be gone just like that, Qin Sheng still felt a little heartache. He had never thought that there would be such an accident. After all, that was his flesh and blood. After hearing Qin Sheng's words, Shui Qingyan comforted him a little. "Well, even if Lin Su goes abroad to give birth, what if you don't recognize her at that time? Then what you've ruined is her life. Impossible, because she is Lin Su, because she is my child." Qin Sheng directly shook his head and replied. Shui Qingyan sneered. "Why not? At that time, you'll have married Song Ruyu and you'll have your own family. Will you destroy everything for Lin Su? That is what I owe Lin Su. Not to mention destroying everything. Even if I offend everyone, I will not hesitate," Qin Sheng said fearlessly. Today, he did it for the Qin family. At that time, when everything was good for the Qin family, he should pay back the debt he owed to Lin Su. Shui Qingyan said thoughtfully, "Well, I believe you, but Lin Su may not believe you. What if she doesn't want this child? That is her freedom. I have no right to interfere. I can only pay her back slowly." Qin Sheng let out a long sigh. He did not know what Lin Su would choose. He could only leave it to fate. Shui Qingyan thought for a moment and asked again, "Then can you think about it for Lin Su and this child?" "Sister, if I regret it this time, Lin Su and the child will be in more danger. Even if it is not for myself, I have to do this for Lin Su. You should understand." Qin Sheng stared at Shui Qingyan and said. Shui Qingyan seemed to understand the truth. At this time, even if Qin Sheng chose Lin Su, everyone would hate Lin Su. Even if Qin Sheng married Lin Su, he might not be happy. This was the truth. Thinking of this, Shui Qingyan had a headache. She did not expect things to be like this. "Sister, help me take care of Lin Su. I hope nothing will happen to her. When she makes a choice, tell me," Qin Sheng said with a pleading attitude. Shui Qingyan was in the middle and felt very uncomfortable. But it was Qin Sheng. She could not do anything. No matter how angry she was, she would consider for Qin Sheng. She had a nod and said, "Don't worry, I will." "Thank you, sister." Qin Sheng comforted her. Shui Qingyan had a sigh and said, "Alas, maybe this is your fate. I hope your ending will be good." Qin Sheng seemed to think of something and said in a hurry, "Sister, there's one more thing. Don't let anyone know this news. You must keep it secret. Otherwise, Lin Su will be in danger. Don't worry, I know. Shui Qingyan understood what Qin Sheng meant. Not to mention that this matter involved many aspects. Secondly, Qin Sheng had offended so many people before. Someone might take the risk out of desperation. If that happened, Lin Su would be in a bad situation. After talking about these things, Qin Sheng and Shui Qingyan finally let go of the estrangement between them. At this time, they began to order dishes. During the meal, Shui Qingyan casually asked about the current situation of the Qin family. Qin Sheng did not hide anything. He told her about some of the latest developments, including the fact that other major shareholders of Chong and Group would choose the Qin family after knowing this news. Shui Qingyan did not expect this news to be so powerful. This was just the beginning. No wonder everyone was pushing for this matter. No wonder Qin Sheng finally made such a choice. He had no choice. After dinner, Qin Sheng wanted to send Shui Qingyan to the hotel, but Shui Qingyan wanted to meet her big boss. Qin Sheng just sent her to the destination and left. The news of the Qin family and the Song family's marriage continued to ferment. More and more people already knew about it. Now it had become the most interesting topic in the circle of Suzhou City. Some people envied the Qin family, envied Qin Sheng because he married the Song family's destined daughter. Some people envied the Qin family and Qin Sheng because it seemed to bring the Qin family back to life. The Qin family had just lost power, and the dust had not settled yet, but Qin Sheng had become a toad. The world was cold, and people's hearts were not what they used to be. If it were 2 years ago, when the Qin family was at its peak, it would probably be a match made in heaven between a talented man and a beautiful woman. At this moment, inside a red wall on Fuyou Street, Song Ruyu was sitting in front of the stairs in a daze. She was familiar with this place. When she was a child, she often came to see her grandpa. When she grew up, she often came to see her teacher. However, she seldom came these days because her teacher was getting busier and busier. Song Ryu did not want to disturb her teacher for trivial matters. However, today, her teacher took the initiative to see her, which surprised Song Ryu a little. She was also a little nervous because she guessed why her teacher wanted to see her. After waiting for half an hour, Song Ryu was already sleepy. Finally, she heard footsteps. When she came to her senses, she saw a familiar figure standing in front of her. Song Ryu quickly stood up and said, "Teacher, the meeting ended a little late. Why didn't you wait inside?" Song Ryu chuckled and said, "It's windy outside. It's comfortable." This teacher, who was serious most of the time, seemed to take good care of Song Ryu. It seemed that he regarded Song Ryu as his half-daughter. Song Ryu was used to the teacher's appearance. He was always dressed in a suit and looked quite serious, just like what she had seen on TV. However, in real life, her teacher was very interesting. He was not that boring. "Do you know why I want to see you? Is it your decision or your family's decision?" The man, who had already stood at the top of the pyramid, asked in a neutral tone. Only himself knew why he did not ask her over the phone, but in person. As expected, Song Ryu did not hesitate and replied calmly, "It's my decision." "I see. Go back." Hearing this answer, the man did not ask any more questions. He waved his hand, indicating that Song Ryu could leave. Then he turned around and walked straight forward. Song Ryu was stunned for a long time before she came to her senses. Chapter 9:41. When Song Ryu came to her senses, her teacher had already entered the room. This seemed to be a little different from what she had imagined. Shouldn't her teacher be angry and scolding her? Or would he say that the Song family was wrong after scolding her? After all, so far, everyone thought that the Song family was absolutely crazy. They didn't know what tricks the Qin family had used to achieve such a result. Song Ryu thought for a moment and burst into laughter. This seemed to be her teacher's style. There was nothing wrong with it. If her teacher thought like ordinary people, he would not be the #1 think tank. However, she didn't know her teacher's attitude now. Did he approve of this marriage or oppose it? However, her teacher might think that it was meaningless. After all, this was the Song family's business, as well as Song Ryu's business. She and the Song family had already agreed. What right did her teacher have to care about these things? What puzzled Song Ryu was that she had to wait here for such a long time just to ask 2 questions. The problem could be solved with a phone call. Her teacher was really a troublemaker. It felt like the thunder was loud, but the rain was small. Song Ryu dared to say so even in front of her teacher. Anyway, her teacher wouldn't say anything about it. This was her privilege. Xue Qingyan returned to Shanghai the next day. She had already gotten the answer she wanted. She still had to clean up Qin Sheng's mess. Xue Qingyan felt that something was wrong. Wasn't she here to scold Qin Sheng? But who asked him to be Qin Sheng? Now, whether for Qin Sheng or Lin Su, Xue Qingyan could only try her best to handle this matter well. She didn't want them to become strangers or enemies, especially the child in Lin Su's belly. This was the most important thing. She didn't know what Lin Su would decide. Xue Qingyan could only go back to Shanghai first. At noon, Qin Sheng and Qin Ran went to see the old man as promised. It had been some days since they last saw the old man. During this period, many things had happened. They didn't know whether the old man knew it or not. The most important thing was that Qin Sheng had made a sacrifice for the Qin family. The procedure was almost the same as last time. When Qin Sheng and Qin Ran entered the room, Qin Chang'an was already sitting there. He was still dressed in simple clothes. However, compared to last time, his complexion and mental state were much better. It seemed that the old man had adjusted his mentality well. However, his white hair was still so dazzling, which made people feel sorry for him. The last time Qin Sheng saw the old man, he might not have felt much change. However, this was the first time Qin Ran saw the old man after he was taken away. It had been a few months since then. How could Qin Ran not be shocked and emotional? The moment she saw the old man, Qin Ran cried out, "Daddy," which she had not seen for a long time. Qin Chang'an, who was sitting opposite her, was also very emotional. He quickly got up and walked over to hug this silly girl and comfort her. Qin Ran had almost always grown up under his protection. She had never suffered any grievances since she was young. This time, after losing his protection, one could imagine how much pressure she had to bear. Even though Zhao Anji and Qin Sheng had come back to help her, she was still under a lot of pressure. After all, no one could replace Qin Chang'an's position in Qin Ran's heart no matter how many people there were. Although the relationship between Qin Chang'an and Qin Ran was sometimes stiff, it was because Qin Chang'an doted on Qin Ran and gave in to her. No matter how angry Qin Ran was with Qin Chang'an, it was just a small conflict between father and daughter. Qin Chang'an was Qin Ran's father and would always be her father. No one could replace this omnipotent father. Until this father finally collapsed one day. After a long time, Qin Chang'an comforted Qin Ran and said with red eyes, "Dad, you've been wronged." Qin Chang'an said calmly, "How can I be wronged? After so many years, it's time for me to suffer some hardships. This is the price I should bear. Just take it as a self-cultivation inside. It's rare to have such a leisurely life." "Dad, don't say that." Qin Ran did not believe it. She just thought that the old man was comforting her. Qin Chang'an smiled helplessly and said, Ran, the one I worry about the most is not your brother, but you. When are you going to find a partner? I didn't urge you before because I spoiled you and was afraid that you would be angry. Now I'm already inside. If I don't urge you, I'm afraid that when I come out, you still won't find a partner." "Dad, how is that possible? Let's not talk about this now. When you're done with your business, I'll definitely find a partner and get married." Qin Ran quickly comforted him. She did not want to make the old man worry. Qin Chang'an smiled and nodded. "That's good." Finally, Qin Ran calmed down. Qin Chang'an also felt slightly relieved. Daughters were always like this. They were always sad and sad. However, daughters were their father's sweet little cotton-padded jackets and always cared about their fathers. Although Qin Ran often had conflicts with him, Qin Chang'an knew that this girl cared about him the most. "Dad, how are you recently? Don't worry about things outside. I'm here." When Qin Chang'an looked at Qin Sheng reported to the old man unhurriedly. He hoped that the old man would not worry about these things and the situation of the Qin family. Qin Chang'an said disapprovingly, "Even if the Chang in school is gone, it's not a big deal. Even if the Qin family falls, it will stand up again sooner or later. I'm most worried about you. I'm sorry for letting you be wronged. Qin Sheng could understand the first part, but when he heard the last part, he was a little confused. He did not know that the old man had already known about the marriage between the Qin family and the Song family. What? Qin Sheng looked confused. Qin Chang'an said calmly, I know about it. If you have a chance, apologize to Lin Su for me. This time, the Qin family owes her. The Qin family will pay for it in the future. At this time, Qin Sheng finally understood. It turned out to be this thing. He was just wondering how the old man knew about it. Dad, you know about it? Qin Ran asked directly. Qin Chang'an said slowly, Don't ask me how I know. I know what I should know. This thing should be done by the Zhu family. I heard that your grandmother also went back to Beijing. The old lady has been stubborn for so many years. I didn't expect that she would go back to Beijing for her grandchildren. It seems that she really loves you. Or maybe it's because of your mother. Dad, Qin Ran felt wronged. Recently, she had been wronged too much. It seemed that she had not suffered so much in the past 20 years. This was the reality. Qin Chang'an ignored Qin Ran. He looked at Qin Sheng and continued. Qin Sheng, didn't I tell you last time? There is nothing you can't give up. Even the Chong and system or the Qin family, you can give up. Sometimes you have to make a choice. But I can't control you now. It's your choice. I hope you won't regret it in the future. Qin Chang'an's words made Qin Sheng a little confused. There was nothing he couldn't give up. He gave up his love for the Qin family. Was he wrong? Qin Sheng did not want to. He continued to struggle on this matter and said, Dad, the Chong and system. However, when Qin Sheng just opened his mouth, Qin Chang'an directly interrupted him and said, You don't have to tell me about this. Even if you tell me, it will be useless. Now you're the backbone of the Qin family. Everything is up to you. That's it. Qin Sheng and Qin Ran were very surprised. What did the old man mean? When they came to themselves, the old man had already stood up and signaled them to go back. Qin Sheng and Qin Ran left in less than half an hour, as if they had gained nothing. When they returned to the door of the hotel, Qin Ran and Qin Sheng looked at each other in the car. Qin Ran could not help but ask, Qin Sheng, what does Dad mean? The Chong and system was established by him. Doesn't he care about it at all? Or does he already know the result? Even if he doesn't care about the Chong and system, he should care about the ending of the Qin family. The Chong and system and the Qin family are almost one. We share weal and woe. Qin Sheng muttered to himself. The old man said that the Chong and system and the Qin family can give up anything. If he gives up the Chong and system and the Qin family, who will help him? Qin Ran frowned and said. Qin Sheng hesitated for a while and said directly, Sister, don't you understand the old man? That is, he can also give up. Hearing this, Qin Ran was stunned. She had never thought that he would mean this. He could give up everything. Why? For them? No, I won't do that. We've already come this far. Why should we give up? Why should we give up? He shouldn't think about shouldering everything. As long as we're still here, it's not certain that he won't get what he wants, Qin Ran said firmly. Anyway, the old man was in there now and could not control them. What they wanted to do was their own business. Qin Sheng nodded silently and said, What else can we do? The sister and brother had reached a consensus that they would not give in. In the afternoon, Qin Sheng went to pick up Song Ruyu, who was about to get off work. Song Ruyu had promised to go to the Qin family this afternoon. She might have hesitated for a long time. However, since Qin Sheng had been to the Song family, he had to go to the Qin family. Song Ruyu had told her parents about this. After all, she didn't know much about etiquette, so she left the rest to her parents. Therefore, when Song Ruyu got in the car, she didn't ask Qin Sheng to go to the West Mountain Villa of the Qin family directly. Instead, she asked Qin Sheng to take her to her parents' place first. Her parents had prepared something for them to take to the Qin family. Of course, Qin Sheng understood. He didn't say anything and went home with Song Ruyu. However, this time, Song Ruyu promised to go to the Qin family. And, at the same time, Qin Sheng promised to accompany her to her best friend's birthday party this weekend. Now that their relationship had been known by everyone wanted to see who on earth Qin Sheng was and how he had married the goddess of the Song family. So did Song Ruyu's bosom friends. Even though it did not matter whether they were satisfied with Qin Sheng or not, they still wanted to see Qin Sheng's true colors. After all, Qin Sheng did not have much contact with the rich playboys in Siju City. Qin Sheng didn't refuse, and he had no reason to refuse. When this news was announced, he knew that many things would happen. After all, he married Song Ruyu. When Song Ruyu took the things and went to the Qin family, Xue Qingyan had already arrived in Shanghai. Knowing that Lin Su was still working overtime, Xue Qingyan went directly to Lin Su's company. Chapter 942. Many things happen in this world every day, including joys and sorrows, joys and sorrows. They would not stop because of anyone or anything. Sometimes God was heartless. It was like a bystander, watching everything without sadness or joy. It had been many days since they broke up, but Lin Su still had not gotten over the sadness. She suffered all the grievances and pain alone and did not want to tell anyone. She did not want others to worry or disturb Qin Sheng. She did not want others to interfere with her affairs. This was between her and Qin Sheng. There was no right or wrong if they liked each other, and she could not blame others, because she knew that Qin Sheng still loved her deeply. He did not break up with her because he did not love her anymore. He was just too helpless and stressed. If he had other choices, she believed that Qin Sheng would not do this, because she believed that he did not choose the wrong person. Or maybe she was just using these reasons to comfort herself, as if she could feel better, as if she would slowly become numb and let it go. However, when she thought that he was no longer in her world and that she could not grow old with him in this life, she felt a little regretful. At this moment, tears would always fall quietly. "Boss Lin, it's time for you to get off work," Lin Su's secretary walked into the office and said worriedly. During this period, Boss Lin's condition was very bad. She looked very pale, ate very little every day, and worked overtime very late. Although they knew that she was busy with work, they were afraid that she would not be able to take it if she continued like this. Therefore, they had advised Boss Lin several times to pay attention to her health and rest well, but Boss Lin always refused to listen. They did not know what happened to Boss Lin. They knew Boss Lin's temper, but they did not dare to ask. They also did not know where Boss Lin's boyfriend was. It seemed that they had not heard any news about him recently. If he was here, maybe Boss Lin would not be like this. Lin Su put down the documents in her hands and slowly raised her head. She said a little tiredly, "You guys go first. I'll leave after I finish this." "Boss Lin, you have to take care of yourself. These things will be fine, even if you're busy tomorrow." The secretary was a little worried. Lin Su did not say anything. She just waved her hand and gestured for her to go first. At this moment, there was a sudden noise outside. They heard a man shouting outside. "Where is Lin Su? Where is she? I want to see her." Before he could finish his words, the man barged into Lin Su's office and shouted at the secretary and the two beauties behind her. "What are you looking at? Get out, I have something to talk to Lin Su about." Lin Su frowned slightly, because this man was her half-brother, Lin Zhe. Wasn't he arranged to go on a business trip? Why did he suddenly come back? From the looks of it, something must have happened to him. "What's the matter?" Lin Su asked indifferently after everyone had left. Lin Zhe walked up to Lin Su angrily and said, "How long do you intend to hide such a big thing from me? What is it?" Lin Su did not understand, but she had a bad feeling. Hearing this, Lin Zhe became angrier. He shouted angrily, "What's the matter? Do you not know? Or do you want to continue hiding it from me? Qin Sheng is going to marry someone else. Aren't you worried at all?" "Oh, I know. We've broken up," Lin Su said calmly. She was not surprised at all after hearing that. Hearing this answer, Lin Zhe was a little dumbfounded. He stared at Lin Su with a blank face, unable to react for a moment. What was going on? Lin Zhe returned to his senses. She shook her head helplessly and smiled bitterly. Like a deflated ball, she sat directly on the chair and muttered to herself, "My sister, what on earth happened? Did you break up with him, or you? If it's him, I'll help you. I'll go to Beijing to find him now." "I broke up with him," Lin Su said without hesitation. Lin Zhe was surprised and asked why. "No reason. I just don't like him anymore. After thinking about it carefully, we are not suitable for each other." He will definitely develop his career in Beijing in the future and has no time to accompany me. I think we'd better break up first, Lin Su explained. Lindsay did not believe her and said, I don't believe it. You have such a deep relationship. How could you break up with him so easily? You must be hiding something from me. Did he abandon you? I'll stand up for you. I must seek justice for you. Lin Su sneered and said, Justice? Seek what justice? Isn't it normal for a man and a woman to break up when they fall in love? Do you want to seek justice for me? Or are you disappointed that you didn't become my brother-in-law? That's right. If you become Qin Sheng's brother-in-law, you will be on the same boat as the Qin family and the Zhu family. Aren't you very powerful in Shanghai? Hearing this, Lin Zhe was a little angry and said, Lin Su, no matter what, I'm your brother. I know there are some misunderstandings between us. I didn't treat you well in the past, but I've reflected on myself and realized my mistake. Now I'm trying to make up for it. No matter how bad I am, I won't think like that. If you're really my brother, don't care about this and don't tell anyone at home, okay? I beg you. Lin Su did not want to talk about this anymore. She also felt that what she said just now was a little hurtful. But now she just wanted to be alone and did not want to be disturbed by anyone. Lindsay did not know what to say. When Lin Su said this, he knew that Qin Sheng might have abandoned her. He heard that the woman Qin Sheng was going to marry was the daughter of the Song family. The Song family was very powerful in Suzhou City and could help the Qin family, especially now that the Qin family was in trouble. Therefore, Qin Sheng wanted to marry that woman for the Qin family. Therefore, Qin Sheng abandoned Lin Su. Just when Lin Zhe was having a headache, the door of the office was pushed open from the outside again. He saw Shui Qingyan rushing back. After she arrived in Shanghai, she went straight to Lin Su's office. When she was outside, she heard from the secretary that Lin Su and Lin Zhe had quarreled. She did not need to guess to know what was going on. That was Lin Zhe knew about it. Shui Qingyan did not expect that the news would spread so fast. It was true that good news did not go out, but bad news traveled 1,000 miles. After Shui Qingyan came in and saw Lin Su's pale face, she felt a little sad. She said to Lin Zhe, You can go out first. I want to talk to Lin Su. Lin Zhe knew Shui Qingyan and had seen her a few times. He knew that this woman had a good relationship with Qin Sheng and Lin Su. She was very powerful in Shanghai. It was said that her brother was now a leader with real power in the city. Many people respected her. Sister Shui. Lin Zhe gritted his teeth and said, Shui Qingyan said calmly, You can go back. I know everything. I want to talk to her. Hearing this, Lin Su let out a long sigh and finally left. Before she left, she did not forget to remind Lin Su to take care of herself. There was nothing that could not be passed. She still had the Lin family. Hearing this, Lin Su was more or less touched. Lin Zhe was no longer the Lin Zhe. The Lin family finally had a human touch. After Lin Zhe left, only Shui Qingyan and Lin Su were left in the office. Shui Qingyan walked up to Lin Su slowly. She held Lin Su's hand gently and said, I just came back from Beijing. I met Qin Sheng. Lin Su was a little surprised. Sister, you know about it? Do you feel wronged? Shui Qingyan said with pity. Hearing this, all the emotions that Lin Su had been holding in during this period of time gushed out in an instant. It seemed that she finally had a chance to vent. She shook her head with red eyes and said, No, really? Shui Qingyan asked again. Lin Su still shook her head. Liking someone was liking him. She really did not feel wronged. Shui Qingyan did not know what to say. She really hoped that Lin Su could be with Qin Sheng. But why did God have to torture them? Couldn't they let their lovers be together? Shui Qingyan calmed down and said, He said he was sorry to you and that he would repay you slowly in this life. I wanted to scold him, but I held back in the end because I know that he really loves you. If it were not for the Qin family, he would not have made such a choice. In fact, he is also very painful, but he still has to move forward. Because he is a man of the Qin family, he has no choice. I know. Lin Su was already crying. She knew that she was in pain, and Qin Sheng would be in more pain than her. Shui Qingyan continued, What about the child? What are you going to do? This is the child of him and me. Even if we break up, I will give birth to it. I will raise it alone, Lin Su said bluntly. This was the decision she had made after careful consideration. It had nothing to do with others. It was her own decision. Lin Su's eyes lit up. Shui Qingyan frowned and said, "Have you thought it through? No regrets? In this case, how are you going to get married in this life with a child?" "No regrets. In this life, I am satisfied to have met him. I will not find anyone else," Lin Su said with tears and a smile. Shui Qingyan really felt sorry for Lin Su. She directly hugged Lin Su, patted her shoulder, and said, "If you want to cry, just cry. You still have me. I will always be with you." "Sister, did you tell him?" Lin Su intuitively felt that Shui Qingyan had already told Qin Sheng about her pregnancy. Shui Qingyan was a little shocked and said, "How did you know?" Lin Su did not answer this question, but continued to ask, "What did he say?" After Shui Qingyan came back to her senses, she said honestly, "I told him about this. Don't blame me. I just felt that it was not worth it for you. So I went to Beijing to question him. After he found out, he was happy and excited, but also painful and tormented. This is your child and his child. He really did not want it to be like this, but what could he do? I asked him, for the sake of the child, can you turn back? He shook his head and said no. It is for the child and for you that he cannot turn back at this time. It will only put you in more danger. I asked him, then what are you going to do? He said if you want to abort the child, he will not stop you, nor will he say anything, because you have the right to choose. It is all his fault, whether you need it or not. He will find a way to make it up to you in the future. If you are willing to give birth to the child, he hopes that you will leave the country and go abroad so that you and the child will be safe. At that time, he will find a way to deal with the rest, and one day... Speaking of this, Shui Qingyan paused. Lin Su could not wait to ask, one day, what will happen? Shui Qingyan then continued, one day, when he has enough strength, he will bring you and the child back. At that time, even if he loses everything and offends everyone, he will not hesitate, because this is what he owes you. After listening to Shui Qingyan's last sentence, Lin Su could not hold it anymore. She hugged Shui Qingyan and cried unscrupulously, because at this moment, she knew that all her grievances were worth it, because he was not that kind of person. Chapter 943. Qin Sheng would never forget Lin Su, and Lin Su would never let him go. After she got pregnant, Lin Su did not tell Qin Sheng about it immediately. That was because she knew what kind of situation Qin Sheng was in now. Although she could not help him, she did not want to be a burden to him. She even thought about aborting the child for a moment, because she felt that this child came at a bad time. However, after all, this was her and Qin Sheng's child. She could not bear to abort it. She could only wait until the Qin family situation eased, or when she could not hide it anymore. However, she did not expect that they would break up. She did not even have the chance to speak, so she did not need to. After breaking up with Qin Sheng, Lin Su had never thought of aborting the child. She chose to give birth to the child without hesitation and raised it alone. That was because this was the only memory she had with Qin Sheng in the future. She also knew that she would never like anyone else again, because there was no second Qin Sheng in this world. She did not want to tell Qin Sheng, because she did not want this matter to affect his choice, and also because she did not want to bring danger to herself and the child. This was also what Qin Sheng wanted. Even if Qin Sheng wanted to keep the child, what about the various parties who were closely related to the Qin family, the Zhu family, the Song family, and so on? In the face of interests, there would definitely be people who would take risks. Anyone could be sacrificed. What was a child? But now, Lin Su could feel relieved, because Qin Sheng had already thought a way out for her. Not only had he thought of a way out for the child, but he had also made a choice for her. Especially when he said that one day, when he was powerful enough, he would definitely take her and the child back. Even if he lost everything, even if he offended everyone, he would not hesitate and would not hesitate to do so. Lin Su did not want to think about the future, regardless of whether Qin Sheng would do this in the future. After all, time could change a lot. But hearing this at this moment, Lin Su was already satisfied. She was satisfied to have met Qin Sheng in this life. Women were so simple. When they met the man they liked, and loved deeply, they would only have him left in their world. Everything would change for him. After a long time, Lin Su finally wiped away her tears and calmed down. Xue Qingyin's shoulder was wet because of Lin Su's tears. She helped Lin Su sit on the sofa and comforted her. "Do you feel better now?" Lin Su asked. "Yeah." Lin Su nodded, a little embarrassed. She had never lost her composure like this before. But then she asked, "Sis, did he really say that?" Xue Qingyin laughed and said, "How could I lie to you about this kind of thing? He was the one who asked me to come back to look for you. I know he is very worried about you, but I also pretended to be heartless. This is the best way to protect you. He is still the same Qin Sheng, but he has no choice. If he changes, I will be the first to disown him. Is he okay?" Lin Su asked with concern. Xue Qingyin answered honestly, "Not bad, but I don't see the smile on his face anymore. He looks more serious than before." Lin Su fell into silence and stopped talking. Xue Qingyin knew that Lin Su was worried about Qin Sheng again. She said quickly, "Don't think about it. You're in a bad state these days. I will take you abroad to relax. You can choose Southeast Asia, Europe, Japan, and Korea." Lin Su hesitated for a moment and shook her head. "Forget it. Let's talk about it after I finish my work. There are other people to do the work. Is there no one at home? You don't have to do everything yourself. You'll be tired. I have the final say this time, or I will complain to Qin Sheng," Xue Qingyin said firmly. Since Xue Qingyin had said so, Lin Su had no choice but to agree. In order to avoid Lin Su's regret, Xue Qingyin directly decided where to go and finally chose Singapore. She even asked her assistant to book the plane tickets and so on overnight. Maybe it was the best choice for Lin Su to leave the country now, to save some unnecessary trouble and worries. The West Mountain Villa of the Qin family in Beijing was brightly lit tonight. The dining room was particularly lively at this moment. At this moment, there was endless laughter. Hearing that Song Ruyu was coming to the Qin family, everyone except for the Qin family was there. There were also a few juniors from the Zhu family. They also wanted to meet the goddess of the Song family. Zhu Jiao was one of them. At first, he felt that it was unfair for Qin Sheng to give up Lin Su. After all, he had recognized Lin Su as his future cousin-in-law. She was beautiful, elegant, tall, and had a good figure. She had a good family background. If she did not have a girlfriend, he would have pursued her. Who knew that things would turn out like this? Although Zhu Jiao also knew the reason, he still felt a little uncomfortable. However, after meeting Song Ruyu tonight, Zhu Jiao actually felt that this cousin-in-law was not bad. Forget it. These were adult affairs, and he would not meddle in them. In addition to Zhu Jiao's sister, Zhu Weigu's second son and daughter-in-law, were also there. With so many women present, the atmosphere was very harmonious. Qin Sheng accompanied his cousin and Zhu Jiao to drink. Song Ruyu sat beside Zhao Anji and talked with her most of the time. Zhao Anji naturally liked Song Ruyu very much, because there was no reason for her not to like her. But tonight, Song Ruyu said a lot of sentimental words. For example, Qin Sheng's mother passed away early, and his father was like this now, so he could not see Qin Sheng get married. She hoped that Song Ruyu and Qin Sheng could live a good life in the future. As for their wedding, Qin Sheng didn't need to worry about it. As the aunt, she would definitely hold a grand wedding. Qin Ran behaved as usual. Only Qin Jing was depressed all night and didn't talk much, let alone Song Ruyu. After all, in her heart, she recognized Lin Su as her sister-in-law. Maybe it was because of the first impression. It was normal for Qin Jing to be inexperienced. Zhu Jiao, who was very familiar with Qin Jing, kept making her laugh. They were about the same age, so they had their own topics. At 9:30 in the evening, the meeting was over. Everything went smoothly without any interruption. Song Ruyu blended in well with the big family. After all, she knew several of them before. Although they were not close friends, they still knew each other. It seemed that they all approved of Song Ruyu. Zhu Jiao stayed here tonight. After the Qin family sent the others away, Zhao Anji asked Qin Sheng to send Song Ruyu home. This was also Qin Sheng's duty as her fiancé. After all, it was not very safe at night. On the way back, Qin Sheng asked casually. How did you feel tonight? I felt that it was more natural for you than for me to go to your house. I was so nervous that your parents would take a knife out of the kitchen and drive me away. Are you exaggerating? My parents are not very good to you, but I still think the atmosphere in your house is better. Every time we get together, we are too serious. Song Ryu retorted and sighed. Qin Sheng chuckled and shook his head. That's because there's only one elder here tonight. She's been living in Canada for these years, so she doesn't have the temper of the other elders in the family. If other elders were here, we would not have behaved like this. Even if I eat with an old man, I will behave well. Song Ryu asked with interest. Aren't you afraid of Uncle Qin? I am afraid of your father. How can I not be afraid of my father? But thinking about it, maybe because we have been separated for these years, we are not so familiar with each other. Now we are gradually getting used to it. Qin Sheng explained casually. Song Ryu nodded slightly and said, Yes, that should be the reason. My aunt always feels that there's not a lot of people in the house. Now, she's waiting for you to marry into the family. Recently, she has started to look at the wedding house for us. Maybe she will ask for your opinion when the time comes. Qin Sheng was a little amused. Song Ryu was surprised and said, It is a little too early. Let's talk about it later. In fact, Song Ryu rarely took the initiative to talk about the future. Most of the time, it was Qin Sheng who took the initiative to talk about it. But when Qin Sheng brought it up, Song Ryu would not avoid it. Maybe it was because their relationship was relatively special. They were not the kind of people who knew each other first, then fell in love, and finally got engaged and married. They were going to get engaged and married directly after they met each other. Qin Sheng did not continue to dwell on this topic. On the way, they talked about some trivial things tonight. Soon they arrived at the community where Song Ryu lived. Qin Sheng sent Song Ryu upstairs and left. He still did not enter Song Ryu's house. He had always thought that their relationship had not reached that stage, and he should give Song Ryu enough time and distance to adapt to it. After Qin Sheng went downstairs, he could not help but feel a headache when he saw the man standing downstairs. Why did he meet Song Hushing again? Song Hushing was really haunting him. Qin Sheng did not avoid it. Anyway, he had already fallen out with Song Hushing. He had no fear. He walked straight over and said, You will not stop until you die. Do you think you can win? Song Hushing faced Qin Sheng and sneered. Just as Qin Sheng hated him more and more, he also hated Qin Sheng more and more. Maybe they were enemies in their previous lives. Qin Sheng lit a cigarette and replied, Do you think you can win? Song Hushing said calmly, If you leave Ryu now, it is not too late. I have said that it is impossible. Qin Sheng replied without hesitation. Song Hushing didn't get angry. Instead, he laughed and said, Fine. You won't give up until you hit the wall. I'll wait for your next performance. I hope you won't let me down. Otherwise, I won't be able to take out the gifts I prepared for you. Qin Sheng squinted and stared at Song Hushing. It seemed that Song Hushing's counterattack was coming, and it was not a simple one. He just did not know what it was, but Qin Sheng still had to be careful. After saying this, Song Hushing passed by Qin Sheng with a smile and entered Song Ryu's building. Obviously, he did not come here for Qin Sheng tonight. He had something to talk with Song Ryu. After Song Hushing left, Qin Sheng was stunned for a while before he came to his senses. He could not figure it out no matter how hard he tried, so he did not think about it anymore. He would deal with it as it came. After all, these were things that would happen sooner or later. After Qin Sheng returned to the West Mountain Villa, he took a shower and lay on the bed. It was hard for him to fall asleep. He had been like this since he came back from Shanghai. At this moment, he was the real him. He was not the real him in front of everyone during the day. He did not expect that he would live like this one day. It was so ironic. In the end, he was so sleepy that he fell asleep unconsciously. A few days later, the Chang'an department held a board meeting as scheduled. Chapter 944. Since Qin Chang'an went missing, the Chang'an group had been in turmoil. It could be said that there were internal and external troubles. Everyone was in a state of panic. The executives belonged to different camps, and the major shareholders were behind them. They were fighting and scheming against each other. This was just the headquarters of the group, not to mention the subsidiaries and branches. The executives were well aware that the Qin family had lost its power in the Chang and group. The other major shareholders were going to join hands to kick the Qin family out of the group. The Qin family had been fighting against them all the time. At this time, many people began to reconsider the question of which side to take, because the two sides were like fire and water. This was a gamble. If they bet correctly, their future would be bright. If they bet wrongly, they could only pack up and leave. Thus, everyone had been concerned about the situation. Seeing that the Qin family was becoming weaker and weaker, most people chose to side with sixth uncle, while a small portion insisted on standing on the Qin family's side. Both sides had been at each other's side for a long time. It was not until Qin Chang'an was taken away by the authorities that the dust finally settled. That was, the Qin family had lost, while the sixth uncle had won. Those who were on the sixth uncle's side had made a lot of money, while those who were on the Qin family side had lost everything, including Chang Sini and Hao Mingyi, who were on the Qin family side. They were Qin Chang'an's trusted subordinates. Naturally, they would never betray Qin Chang'an or the Qin family. So what if they were kicked out? But what about the people below them? After all, they were still members of the board of directors. Even if the Qin family was eliminated, they still had a seat on the board of directors. Therefore, during the period when the sixth uncle was in charge of the Chang'an faction, he had begun to sort out the direct descendants of the Qin family. Many of them had been fired, and some had even gone through the legal process. Every new emperor had his own courtiers. This was the reality and interests. Many things were uncertain. Just when the people who had elected sixth uncle were complacent, no one had expected that the Qin family would make a comeback and reconvene the board of directors and the shareholders' meeting. It was said that some major shareholders stood on the side of the Qin family again. The Qin family had an absolute advantage and was going to take control of the Chang and group again. At that moment, everyone was in a panic. At the same time, after hearing this news, those who had been standing firmly on the Qin family side and hadn't been eliminated yet were overjoyed because the opportunity that belonged to them was about to appear. A board meeting was held at 10 o'clock. Zhao Anji and Qin Sheng arrived half an hour earlier. This time, Qin Sheng did not go to the underground parking lot. Instead, he appeared in front of the main entrance of the Chang and group's headquarters. A large number of executives of the group were already waiting there. Naturally, most of them belonged to the Qin family, led by Chang Sini and Hao Mingyi. From a main entrance of the group's headquarters to the meeting room of the group's board of directors, Qin Sheng and Zhao Anji were surrounded by a crowd of people. They were so high-profile this time to tell everyone that the Chang'an group would always belong to the Qin family. No one could take the Chang'an group away from the Qin family. The Qin family was back today. Along the way, Qin Sheng had shown a strong aura and enough confidence. He was the son of Qin Chang'an, the future leader of the Chang and faction. This time, he should be the one to officially meet everyone. At present, the Chang'an group was temporarily replaced by a senior executive from Uncle Six's side. Chang Sini and Hao Mingyi had been replaced and basically resigned. Uncle Six was polite to them. After all, considering that they had worked hard for so many years, he didn't kill them, so he gave them a decent way to leave. However, he didn't expect that the Qin family would come back after he took control of the Chang and group for a few days. In the meeting room of the group's board of directors, when Qin Sheng and Zhao Anji walked in, only the director of the Li family was present. The two independent directors did not show up, as usual, because they would never get involved in the internal strife of the Chang and group. They had always been neutral. This time it was the same. Even though the sixth uncle had won them over, the Qin family did not care because there was still the following shareholders meeting and the Yang family had not shown up yet. The sixth uncle, the Su family, and Zhe Yuan had not arrived yet. It was said that they would not show up today and only sent their clients. When the director of the Li family saw Qin Sheng and the others, he hurriedly walked over with a smile and greeted them. Chairman Qin, Chairman Zhao, finally, you are here. Only under the leadership of the Qin family can the Chang and group achieve glory again. From now on, we will support the Qin family without hesitation. If there is anything in the future, please feel free to contact us. When Qin Sheng and Zhao Anji saw the director, they already knew that the Li family did not lie to them. It should be true that the Qin family had broken up with the sixth uncle. It seemed that the sixth uncle had completely failed. Qin Sheng finally felt how powerful the marriage alliance in Siju City was. Zhao Anji replied politely, "Thank you for your support, Chairman Li. Let's get together more often in the future." After a few polite words, the two sides sat in their respective seats. Currently, the Qin family had 4 seats on the board of directors, excluding Qin Chang'an, plus the seats owned by the Li family. They had already gained the upper hand, so they did not need to worry about the sixth uncle at all. Before they came here today, Qin Sheng, Zhao Anji, and the others had made 2 plans. One was that if the Li family did not support the Qin family, the Qin family would propose to reconvene a shareholders' meeting to elect a new board of directors. This was the right of the Qin family, supported by the law, and could not be changed by the sixth uncle. If the Li family supported the Qin family would announce several proposals at the board of directors. The most important one was to elect a new management and let the direct descendants of the Qin family take charge of the Chang and group again. From then on, Chang Sini and Hao Mingyi would be responsible for all the affairs of the Chang and group. Secondly, they would continue to hold a shareholders' meeting to elect a new board of directors, because the major shareholders, such as the Yang family, would be present. After the marriage alliance between the Qin family and the Song family, not only the Yang family and the Li family turned to the Qin family, but also the other 2 major shareholders. Although they did not have many shares in their hands, who would not be willing to do the icing on the cake. Everyone knew how powerful the Qin family was with the Song family and the Zhu family. They did not dare to offend the Qin family, so they naturally stood on the side of the Qin family without hesitation. As long as the shareholders' meeting was held, they could naturally kick out the directors on the side of the sixth uncle. No matter how many directors they could kick out, the Chang and group would be completely controlled by the Qin family in the future. No one could threaten the Qin family anymore. Just after 10 o'clock, several directors, or clients on the side of the sixth uncle, finally arrived. The board of directors of the Chang and group was held as scheduled. Compared with the last time, there seemed to be no tension this time, because the Qin family had an absolute advantage. When the board of directors of the Chang and group was held, the sixth uncle, Li Ziyuan, and the one from the Su family were drinking tea with the sixth uncle. They did not seem nervous or worried, because it did not matter whether they win or not today. After all, the result had been determined. "Sixth uncle, are we just going to wait for a nightmare?" Ziyuan said with some confidence. The sixth uncle drank the old pu or tea and said disapprovingly, "Otherwise, what's the use of you going there? You just be a joke. It's just a board of directors meeting. The shareholders meeting hasn't started yet. We still have a chance. Brother Six, are you sure we can make a comeback before the shareholders meeting? Otherwise, we've been tossing and turning for so long, but we've been completely wiped out. Next, we'll have to face the revenge from that side. The Song family and the Zhu family are even more covetous. We can't make another mistake this time," the eldest brother of the Su family said thoughtfully. The sixth uncle said confidently, "If I didn't even have this ability, would I have said that? Things are far from that simple. Do the Song family and the Zhu family really dare to interfere? The more pressure Qin Chang'an is under, the more chances we have to turn the tables. Everything is not settled yet." Ziyuan said cautiously, "Sixth uncle, this is my last chance. Otherwise, I won't have any say in the family in the future. I trust you for the last time." The sixth uncle laughed and said, "You can watch a good show." The eldest brother of the Su family and Ziyuan didn't understand the sixth uncle's plan. Anyway, the sixth uncle had said that this time, the Qin family would die miserably. The big shots behind them had already taken action. Even if they had to face the direct attacks from the Song family and the Zhu family, they wouldn't be afraid, because in that case, they would have to pay a greater price. At 11:30, the board of directors of the Chang and group came to an end smoothly. Without any surprises, the Qin family won a great victory. All the proposals were passed, including that Zhao Anji would be the chairman of the Chang and group, Qin Sheng would be promoted from a non-executive director to an executive director, and a shareholders' meeting would be held in a month to re-elect the board of directors. After that, the Chong and group held a senior management meeting and announced the reappointment of the board of directors. Several senior managers were dismissed. Chong Sinny, Hao Mingyi, and other direct descendants of the Qin family took charge of the Chong and group again. Everyone was in an uproar. It didn't occur to them that the Qin family would make a comeback in this way. For a moment, some people were happy, while others were sad. But no one could change the fact because everyone made their own choices and no one else could be blamed. Chapter 945. The Qin family's return to the Chong and system was not good news for most people, because too many people took advantage of the Qin family when they were in trouble. Even those in the Chong and system did so, not to mention those former business partners. Now that the Qin family had returned to the Chong and system, they naturally had the ability to settle accounts. Except for Qin Sheng, the rest of the Qin family had joined the Chong and system. Zhao Anji became the chairman, and Qin Ran had joined the management team. Qin Ran had been in charge of the asset management company under the Chong and system before, but now she had taken this opportunity to join the management team. Qin Jing had also joined the risk management committee and would be independent in the future. It was not suitable for Qin Sheng to join the management team at the moment. He had a lot of other things to deal with. He would consider joining the Chong and system when the opportunity was right. Moreover, the Chong and system had returned to the Qin family, so it didn't matter who was in charge. In addition to preparing for the engagement with Song Ruyu, Qin Sheng also had to take care of the internal affairs of the Qin family, which was how to deal with the two ambitious masters of the Qin family, the one in Dalian and the one in Shenzhen. Now that the Chong and system had come to an end, the Qin family finally had time to deal with them. At noon, many executives of the Chong and system had lunch in a restaurant near the group. Most of them were the direct descendants of the Qin family and those who had been neutral before. Next, the Qin family would clean up the Chong and system to make sure that the previous things would not happen again. Anyway, the Qin family had an absolute advantage now, and they had fallen out with the sixth uncle, so they had nothing to worry about. Next, there would be a series of plans against the sixth uncle. Qin Sheng didn't attend. He went back to the West Mountain villa of the Qin family in advance. Before the matter of the old man was settled, the Qin family would not return to the Sihuan temporarily. After all, it was too high profile there, and many reporters were waiting there, always wanting to make some explosive news. However, today, the Qin family's return to the Chong and system was bound to cause a stir in the capital circle. Next, the companies related to the Chong and system had to consider how to repair their relationship with the Qin family. After all, the Chong and system not only had many subsidiaries, but also had a stake in many listed companies. In the living room of the villa, Chong Baji and the company were waiting for Qin Sheng. Besides, Nangang was also there. She had almost recovered, so Qin Sheng needed her to go out this time. Old Chong, bring Brother Wu to Shenzhen and find out what's going on there. It's best if you can get some dirt on him. I'll deal with him later. Uncle Gong's son, you and Nangang should go to Dalian. I don't believe that the one in Dalian did not participate in what happened in Changbai Mountain last time, Qin Sheng said. Chong Baji said worriedly, if we all leave, who will protect you? Don't worry. During this period of time, no one will take risks out of desperation. I'm in the limelight, Qin Sheng said half-jokingly. What he said was true. The marriage between Qin and Song was a hot topic. The old lady had also returned to Beijing. Behind Qin Sheng were the Zhu and Song families. Whoever dared to stand out in a high-profile manner would be courting death. Qin Sheng and Song Ruyu had been engaged for quite some time. In less than a month, the Qin family was almost ready. They had invited all the direct relatives of the two families. At that time, Old Master Song and Old Lady Zhu would also attend. It was destined to be another feast. On Saturday afternoon, Qin Sheng accompanied Song Ruyu to the hospital. First, they went to see Old Master Song. Old Master Song and Old Master Zhu talked a lot with Qin Sheng. Since Song Ruyu had agreed to marry Qin Sheng, Old Master Song's attitude toward Qin Sheng had been getting better and better. Every time, he had a lot to talk about. He also asked Qin Sheng to find time to take Song Ruyu back to Xi'an and let her visit old Master Qin's grave. Qin Sheng thought about it and agreed. Since they had come this far, it was time to take Song Ruyu to meet his grandparents and his mother. Therefore, he readily agreed. Anyway, he had nothing to do during this period. After visiting old Master Song, Qin Sheng and Song Ruyu went to visit their grandmother. His aunt accompanied his grandmother alone. When old lady Zhu saw Song Ruyu, she was so happy that she didn't say much to Qin Sheng. Instead, she talked more with Song Ruyu. She also asked Wu Yajun and Zhu Qingwen to take Song Ruyu to buy some clothes when Zhu Qingwen came to Beijing. Song Ruyu hurriedly said that it was not necessary, because Qin Sheng had taken her to buy a lot of things some time ago. After that, Zhao Anji and Qin Ran took Song Ruyu shopping. Compared with Qin Sheng's prestige, Zhao Anji and Qin Ran were more straightforward. They bought a lot of things for Song Ruyu, including cosmetics, jewelry, clothes, and so on. They spent millions on that day, which showed how rich the Qin family was. Zhao Anji and Qin Ran were really generous. Song Ruyu didn't know whether to laugh or cry. No wonder so many women wanted to marry into rich and powerful families. Once they married into rich and powerful families, they would instantly be free of pressure. Who wouldn't want that? The next day, Qin Sheng took Song Ruyu to visit his grandfather and mother. Her grandfather lived in Babayushan, which Song Ruyu was familiar with. When she was a child, she had followed old Master Song there many times because many of old Master Song's old friends were buried there. But this time, she was here to see Qin Sheng's grandfather. Qin Sheng didn't say much to his grandfather because he had long lost his memory of his grandfather. He only knew the grandfather in the files. Most of the things he knew were from his grandmother and his aunt. They said that when he was a child, his grandfather loved him the most and would bring him gifts every time he came back from a business trip. Qin Sheng didn't expect that the old man would be so kind. Compared to Qin Sheng, Song Ruyu knew the old master better than Qin Sheng because she had met him many times. After all, the old master and her grandfather had worked together in the past. She had also been to the Zhu family many times. She still remembered the old master clearly. After that, Qin Sheng took Song Ruyu to his mother's place. Lao Gua, who was guarding the door, was very happy to see Song Ruyu because Qin Sheng said that she was his fiancée. Although they weren't engaged yet, it would only be half a month. Moreover, everyone knew it, so Qin Sheng didn't have to be afraid. Lao Gua led Qin Sheng and Song Ruyu into the house. On the way, he said excitedly, "Ruyu, Qin Sheng is so lucky to have a wife like you. I'm also very happy to see Qin Sheng's mother. His mother has been waiting for this day for many years. Now she finally sees you, and she doesn't need to worry anymore. It will be even better when you have a child. Uncle Gua, it's my duty. I'll come here more often in the future." Song Ruyu was a little embarrassed. Qin Sheng had told her about Lao Gua. Song Ruyu didn't distance herself from him because of Lao Gua's identity. Instead, she chatted with Lao Gua amiably. Lao Gua nodded with satisfaction and said, "It's great that you can think this way. Good girl." Lao Gua left after taking Song Ruyu and Qin Sheng to their place. Standing in front of his mother's tombstone, Qin Sheng said with mixed feelings, "Mom, I brought Ruyu here to see you." A few days ago, Qin Sheng had stood here and talked with his mother a lot, saying all the words that had been in his heart. Otherwise, he wouldn't have come to see his mother in this way. After all, his mother already knew Song Ruyu. Moreover, his mother had seen Song Ruyu many times when she was a child. At that time, she had been close to Song Ruyu's mother. Qin Sheng had learned this when he visited Song Ruyu's home last time. "Auntie, Ruyu is here to see you. Do you still remember me?" Song Ruyu said sadly. Maybe standing here reminded her of many things in the past. Qin Sheng said, half-jokingly, "Next time, will you call me Mom?" Song Ruyu blushed. She turned around and glared at Qin Sheng, but it seemed that it was true. She had changed the way she addressed him after they got engaged. After offering incense and burning paper money, Qin Sheng said to Song Ruyu, "Chat with my mother for a while. I'll go upstairs." Qin Sheng knew that Song Ruyu had something to say to his mother. He wouldn't say anything if he stayed here. Anyway, he had said what he wanted to say last time. This time, he just brought Song Ryu here. When Qin Sheng and Song Ryu came to pay their respects to their mother, Chang Baji and Gong Sun had also arrived in Shenzhen and Dalian. However, they were followed by Elder Long's people. Elder Long was behind the betrayal of the Qin family in Dalian and Shenzhen last time. This time, Elder Long took action again, because it was only a part of his plan. Therefore, as soon as Chang Baji arrived in Shenzhen, he was put in a tough spot. The car that he was in was tampered with, and the brakes failed on the road. Fortunately, the car was not fast at that time, and the airbag popped up, but Chang Baji and Bak were still slightly injured. This made them realize that there might be spies in the Qin family. Otherwise, how could they know about it in Shenzhen? Therefore, Chang Baji and Bak could only change their strategy. They temporarily disappeared for a few days and then took action. Gong Sun, who went to Dalian, was not surprised. After all, Gong Sun's status was different from Chang Baji's. He had a lot of power in Sijio City. Even if he went to Dalian, he would be afraid. After all, Dalian was the most prosperous city in the northeast. But even so, Elder Long's people were still watching Gong Sun. It seemed that it was a little difficult for the Qin family to clean up the family. Chapter 946. The battle in Chang, and came to an end because of the Qin family's strong return. However, everyone knew that Sixth Uncle would not give up easily. However, Sixth Uncle had not found a suitable way to break the situation, or maybe he was waiting for an opportunity to avoid the Qin family. Once they found a way to survive, they would definitely fight back fiercely again. At that time, no one knew who would win. How could Sixth Uncle and the others give up so easily? Those who had nothing to do with it were all waiting to continue watching the show. How could the show end so easily? Otherwise, Sixth Uncle and the others would be completely annihilated. After all, they had been tossing and turning for such a long time. They didn't know how much manpower and financial resources they had wasted, but they also didn't know how many people they had offended. At this time, it was hard to get off. They could only bite the bullet and continue forward. Now that Sixth Uncle was defeated by the Qin family, Elder Long finally decided to take action. Song Shixin from Dalian, He Yong from Shenzhen, and Bao Fan from Shanghai were the first few trusted subordinates of Qin Chang'an, even earlier than Chang Sini and Hao Mingyi. There was also Brother Wu's father, who left the Qin family and started his own business in Inner Mongolia. With the help of the Qin family, he had become a local tyrant. There were also some elders who had followed Qin Chang'an in the past. Some retired for thousands of years and no longer cared about the affairs of the world. Some went out to do small things without any achievements, and some finally returned to ordinary life. At the beginning, when the Qin family was in trouble, these people were still planning to help the Qin family through the difficulties. However, as the situation became more and more serious, most of them dared not to get involved in the muddy water anymore, for fear of being implicated. Especially after Qin Chang'an was taken away, almost all of these people disappeared. As a result, after Qin Sheng took over the Qin family, except for Gong Sun and Bao Fan, no one cared about him. Brother Wu's father was already very loyal. After all, he had already established his own family, and this matter involved so many people. Naturally, he did not dare to stand up for Brother Wu. However, he was able to let Brother Wu stay in the Qin family and not leave. He was considered to have treated the Qin family well. Qin Sheng was most grateful to Bao Fan in Shanghai. He had troubled Bao Fan a lot in Shanghai. In the end, after the Qin family was in trouble, Bao Fan had been standing firmly on the Qin family side. Perhaps it was because of the Zhu family. The Zhu family was deeply rooted in Shanghai. Moreover, Bao Fan had always been in Shanghai. He did not dare to betray the Qin family easily. Otherwise, he might pay a heavy price. Now, after the Qin family had been silent for more than half a year, the news of the marriage between the Qin family and the Song family suddenly broke out. Many elders were ready to make a move again. Some of them could not help but take the initiative to contact the Qin family. Perhaps they felt that the storm of the Qin family was about to pass, and now was the best time to repair their relationship with the Qin family. Qin Sheng had already received calls from several elders. Some of them were already waiting for the right time. They did not dare to make a decision easily. Otherwise, they were afraid that they would regret it. On the other hand, Song Shih and He Yong, who were the real three members of the Qin family except for Bao Fan, seemed to be unmoved. In a series of things that happened in the Qin family, Song Shih and Bao Fan's attitude was that it was none of their business, and they were the local tyrants in peace. After Qin Sheng took over, they did not even make a phone call, which showed what they meant. What made the Qin family most angry was that when the Qin family wanted to buy the Chong and group shares from the Yang family, in order to raise enough funds, they asked Song Shih and He Yong to cooperate with them. Except for Bao Fan and Shanghai, the other two people's attitudes were ambiguous, and they almost refused directly. This made the Qin family very angry, which showed that they did not hide their wild ambitions anymore. Therefore, now that the Qin family had solved the problem of the Chong and group, they finally had time to deal with them. They had a hand over the power because it all belonged to the Qin family. Elder Long and sixth uncle sent two groups of people to Shenzhen and Dalian respectively. He Yong, who was used to being a local tyrant in Shenzhen, wanted to take advantage of the Qin family to be independent. He did not care about the news of the Qin family's marriage. Anyway, he had already offended the Qin family, and he would never turn back. Therefore, when Chang Baji arrived in Shenzhen, he was put in a tough position. Song Shih, who was in Dalian, was still hesitating. After all, Dalian was relatively close to the circle of Beijing. Now that the Qin family and the Song family had been united by marriage, Song Shih was somewhat afraid. Even though Elder Long and sixth uncle had promised him a lot, he still did not make up his mind. He just asked someone to keep an eye on Gongsun in secret. There was a seaside manor near Dalian's Bongsue Island, which covered an area of hundreds of acres and enjoyed a beach. The scenery was very beautiful, especially at sunrise. This was Song Shih's mansion in Dalian, which looked more magnificent than the mansion of the Qin family in Beijing. It could be seen how comfortable this local tyrant's life was. Not long after Song Shih got up, the housekeeper told him that the two people had come again, which gave Song Shih a headache. In fact, he had been delaying it because he wanted to see how He Yong was doing. Even if He Yong betrayed the Qin family, he wanted to know how the Qin family would treat him. If the Qin family could not do anything to He Yong, and He Yong won by luck, he would definitely leave the Qin family. If He Yong was defeated by the Qin family, he would also know how the Qin family would deal with him. At that time, it would be up to him to decide whether to stay or leave. Anyway, he did not want to stand out and be defeated by the Qin family. Song Shih had no choice but to ask the housekeeper to take them to the breakfast hall on the second floor. After Song Shih took a shower and changed into comfortable clothes, he went over. He looked to be about 50 years old. His skin and figure were well maintained. Although he was a little short, he did not look like a middle-aged man who put on weight. Because Song Shih's second wife was a fitness coach, she would accompany Song Shih to exercise every day. Sometimes she would also practice yoga. She had been maintaining it for the past few years, so he was in his current state. Song Shih's mansion had spent a lot of money. Although he was a country bumpkin, he seemed to have good taste. Unlike the mansions built by the nouveau riche in the Northeast, his mansion had some modern American style. These were all designed by his first wife, who was a serious designer who had studied in the United States. In addition, Song Shih's second wife was a highly educated lawyer who had been helping him all the time. His third wife was a fitness coach, and her figure and temperament were enviable. Therefore, outsiders said that Song Shih was good at picking up girls. His three wives were not simple, not to mention the women who had been with him. The restaurant on the second floor faced the sea. The huge floor-to-ceiling windows could directly see the whole sea. When the sun rose, the whole restaurant was filled with sunlight. It was really a kind of enjoyment to have breakfast in such an environment, and one would be in a good mood for the whole day. When Song Shih arrived at the restaurant, the two men were already sitting there drinking tea. Song Shih's wives were eating in another restaurant. This was the rule of the Song family. When there were outsiders, they had to stay away. When he walked into the restaurant, Song Shih's gloomy face instantly became happy. He said, "Sorry to keep you waiting for so long. Boss Song, you're really arrogant. This is the third time we've been here. A man who looked older than Song Shirshin asked impolitely. He was one of Elder Long's confidants, and also the cousin of the old man who Chong Baji was a little afraid of. They had followed Elder Long's family for 3 generations, which showed their loyalty. Song Shirshin did not dare to offend them. He smiled and said, "I need to think about it. After all, it's such a big deal." Brother Song, people from the Qin family have arrived in Dalian. How long are you going to wait? A man who seemed to be in his 30s said lightly. His temperament was completely different from that of the man next to him. He was more like an elite executive because he was a nephew of the 6th uncle. Song Shirshin did not deny it. "I already know, and I also know where they live." "Oh, is Boss Song going to show your loyalty to the Qin family? I just don't know if the Qin family will recognize you. It is not the era of Qin Chang'an now. The core figure of the Qin family is Qin Sheng. Since Qin Sheng took over, Boss Song has never met him. What do you think Qin Sheng thinks of you?" Elder Long's confidant said sarcastically. 6th uncle's nephew echoed. "Based on my understanding of the Qin family, they will never be indecisive. No matter how loyal you are to them, Qin Sheng will not spare you. At most, he will let you enjoy your old age in peace. However, Brother Song, are you willing to give up what you have in your hands?" Song Shirshin replied politely, "You'd better give me some time to think about it." After hearing this, the nephew of the 6th uncle suddenly changed his face and said, "Brother Song, don't be so shameless. You really think you're a big shot. You're just a local bully in Dalian. The reason why the 6th uncle give you face is that he thinks highly of you. Don't get yourself into trouble when the time comes." Song Shirshin's face was somewhat gloomy. Obviously, he was a little angry. However, he could not be angry because these 2 men represented the 6th uncle, a big shot that he did not dare to offend. The confidant of Elder Long had not revealed his identity because before leaving, Elder Long had said that he did not need to reveal his identity, so he should try to hide it. If it did not work, then he would reveal his identity. Now it seemed that Song Shirshin was shameless, so he had to make a move. Therefore, the confidant of Elder Long slowly walked in front of Song Shirshin, leaned over, and whispered in Song Shirshin's ear, "Song Shirshin, do you know Elder Long?" When Song Shirshin heard this name, he frowned slightly. It seemed that he had heard a little about him, but it was just a rumor. There were more things involved. Seeing that Song Shirshin did not say anything, Elder Long's confidant continued, "I don't represent the 6th uncle. I represent Elder Long. This time, Elder Long wants the Qin family to die without a burial place. No one can stop him. Are you going to stop him? Don't think that you're a big shot in Dalian and the Northeast. In front of many people, you are nothing. Do you understand?" What was a slap in the face? This was a naked slap in the face, which directly made you unable to fight back. At this time, Song Shirshin's face was already pale, as if there was no way out. He did not expect that Elder Long would appear. The 6th uncle was already a headache for him. After all, it was only the 6th uncle who had been contacting him. Now, with the addition of Elder Long, it seemed that he had no choice. Elder Long's confidant was already unwilling to say anything more. He said directly, "I will wait for your news before the evening. If you are late, I will not wait for you." After that, Elder Long's confidant directly left with the nephew of the 6th uncle. Song Shirshin was lost in thought and did not come to his senses for a long time. At 6 o'clock in the evening, as expected, Song Shirshin compromised because he had no choice but to do so. Chapter 9:47. It was already the end of September. The hot summer was about to end, and the short autumn was coming unexpectedly. The north was getting colder, and the south was still under the scorching sun. Dalian, which was located in Bohai Bay, was getting chilly at night. This was an independent courtyard by the sea, which belonged to Zhuangzhou. Every summer, Zhuangzhou would stay here for a few days, but he was not here recently. Gongsun and Nangong stayed here after they arrived in Dalian. It was more comfortable and safe to stay with an acquaintance, not to mention the environment and scenery. After all, the 2 stewards in this courtyard were Zhuangzhou's apprentices, who were good at martial arts. The courtyard was neither too big nor too small, but it was full of all kinds of flowers and plants, just like a private garden. It could be seen how much Zhuangzhou liked these things. When he was not here, the two apprentices would take care of the courtyard. Sometimes they would follow Zhuangzhou to the north, leaving only the old woman who was responsible for cooking and cleaning in the courtyard. Zhuangzhou's two disciples were called Debao and Erbao. They were only 25 or 26 years old, and they were not married yet. Debao was tall and skinny, and he was almost 1.9 meters tall. Erbao was slightly fatter, but he was also 1.75 meters tall. The two of them liked to joke around, and they got along very well. Usually, there were almost no guests in this small courtyard. Today, there were finally outsiders. Debao and Erbao were very happy. They kept greeting Gongsun and Nangong politely, especially the beautiful Nangong. She was really a feast for the eyes. Debao and Erbao kept thinking of ways to talk to Nangong, but Nangong had a cold personality and couldn't be bothered to talk to them. In the end, they could only bitterly run to Gongsun's side to drink tea and chat. Nangong sat in the courtyard outside, looking at the sea under the night sky. No one knew what she was thinking. Since Qin Chang'an's accident, Nangong talked less and less. She spent most of her time in a daze. When she was bored, she would go out for a walk. It seemed that it was difficult for her to integrate into the current Qin family, or maybe she did not want to. Gongsun held a document in his hand. There were some special names on it. These people were the core figures around Song Shixin. Some were loyal to the Qin family. After all, it was impossible for the Qin family not to have their own people around Song Shixin. Some were neutral, but most were Song Shixin's confidants. Gongsun was thinking about how to get in touch with these people. At this moment, Debao and Erbao were muttering. Erbao gave Debao a look and said, "Debao, you're the big brother. You should ask." "Erbao, you know I'm thin-skinned, so you should ask me." "I'm very shy," said Debao embarrassedly. Erbao replied angrily, "Why are you still shy? Why weren't you shy when you were flirting with the old woman in the restaurant by the roadside? You even wanted to ask her to introduce a girl who is in college to you. Are you shy? Shameless." Second Bao, "Isn't this different? Help me ask. If you do, I'll take care of all the work in the courtyard for the next week," said Debao helplessly. "No, 1 month. Half a month. 1 month. All right, 1 month it is. Deal." After bargaining for a while, the two of them finally reached a deal. Erbao sat up straight, took a deep breath, and coughed twice to attract Gongsun's attention. He then asked, "Mr. Gongsun, can I ask you something?" Debao and Erbao were more cautious in front of Gongsun. Their master had reminded them over the phone to treat Mr. Gongsun well. He was a big shot from Beijing. No matter what Mr. Gongsun did, they had to cooperate fully and not make any mistakes. Therefore, Debao and Erbao did not dare to ask. Although Gongsun was looking at things, he still noticed the little movements of Debao and Erbao. He put down the things in his hands, raised his head slowly, and said with a smile, "Go ahead. What's the matter?" Erbao found it a little difficult to speak and dilly-dallied. He remembered that Debao also wanted to speak. In the end, after hesitating for a long time, he finally asked, "Mr. Gongsun, I just want to ask, does Sister Nangong have a boyfriend?" When Erbao said it, he was even more afraid that Nangong would hear him. After saying it, he felt a little uneasy, afraid that Mr. Gongsun would scold them or look down on them. He had already prepared an excuse. After hearing it, Gongsun laughed and said, "I was wondering what it was. So it's about this. Why do you want to pursue Nangong?" No. I'm not pursuing her. I'm just asking for Debao." Erbao was anxious and directly sold Debao out. Debao looked confused and did not know how to explain for a moment. Gongsun chuckled and said, "Ha ha ha, it's good to like someone. If you like her, you have to pursue her. As for whether you can get her or not, it depends on your own ability. But don't blame the girl if you can't get her. After all, you have someone you like, and she might also have someone she likes. Don't you think so?" "Mr. Gongsun is right," Debao and Erbao hurriedly replied. Erbao was smart and immediately understood. He replied, "Mr. Gongsun, you mean that Sister Nangong has no boyfriend?" Gongsun smiled and nodded. "I only know that she has no boyfriend, but I don't know if she has someone she likes. You have to ask her yourself. After saying this, Gongsun stood up and walked out of the yard. The moon was bright and the stars were sparse, which was very beautiful tonight. In addition to the flowers and plants in the yard, he could not help but want to build a yard like this in the future. In that way, he could enjoy his old age in peace. However, it seemed that he was destined to work hard all his life. Gongsun casually sat beside Nangong and said gently, "Nangong, things are not going well for Lao Chong and the others in Shenzhen. We have to be careful these days. Tomorrow, you will accompany me to meet a few people. At that time, be careful." Nangong came to his senses and said calmly, "Uncle Gongsun, everything is up to you." "Nangong, Master Qin has been away for a few months. Do you miss him?" Gongsun casually asked. Nangong replied in a low voice, "Uncle Gongsun, how can I not miss my foster father? Unfortunately, I can't do anything to help him. I know you are cold, but after all, you're also a member of the Qin family. When you are free, you should hang out with Qin Ran and Qin Sheng. You don't have to be so distant. I can feel that you are running away from something," Gongsun said calmly. He knew where Nangong's problem was. In the past, at least Master Qin was there, and he could be a link. But now Master Qin was gone. The Qin family was led by Zhao Anji and Qin Sheng. Qin Ran's focus was on other things. Nangong always felt that he was an outsider, so he had been running away. "Uncle Gongsun, I understand," Nangong replied politely. Gongsun smiled and said, "All right, don't sit here. Accompany me to the beach. Such a rare opportunity is rare." When they walked to the living room, the Bao and Heir Bao hurriedly asked, "Mr. Gongsun, Sister Nangong, where are you going?" "We are going to the beach for a walk," Gongsun said truthfully. Nangong was still so cold. She almost did not look at Dabao and Heir Bao, which made Dabao and Heir Bao feel a little disappointed. But Dabao still insisted and said, "Let me take you there. I know where the scenery is the best." "No need." Nangong did not like the presence of outsiders. In the words of young people, she had a serious social phobia. Dabao did not expect that Nangong would reject him directly. He was more or less embarrassed. Gongsun eased the atmosphere and said, "Next time, we still have something to talk about." Since Mr. Gongsun had already said it, Dabao and Heir Bao could not say anything else. They had to give way. Just when Gongsun and Nangong were about to leave, the yard suddenly fell into darkness. All the lights went out at the same time. Everyone could not help being surprised and immediately became alert. At this time, Dabao heard the noise outside and immediately shouted, "Who is it?" "It seems that our guests are here," Gongsun said thoughtfully. There must be something wrong when something abnormal happened. He did not think it was an accident. After all, he had seen too many accidents. Dabao immediately understood what Mr. Gongsun meant. He changed his previous cowardly look and said decisively, "Mr. Gongsun and Sister Nangong stay here. I will go to the front yard. Heir Bao, you go to the backyard. Be careful." After that, the two brothers left the living room at the same time. In Beijing, the moon was bright and the stars were sparse. At this moment, Qin Sheng was on the way to her best friend's birthday party with Song Ruyu. He had just picked up Song Ruyu. Song Ruyu looked completely different tonight. Obviously, she had dressed up meticulously. This was also the first time that Qin Sheng had seen Song Ruyu like this. She wore a long white dress, and her long hair fluttered in the wind. She looked like a fairy who had descended to the world. Qin Sheng was stunned. Chapter 948. Song Ruyu seldom attended such gatherings. At most, she would go shopping and eat with her best friends. She preferred to attend all kinds of conferences or attend classes at Tsinghua University, Peking University, and Renmin University. Unlike most girls, she seemed to be a maverick. In other words, she didn't get along well with others. Humans were a motley crew. Most people made the same choices, and most people lived the same lives. This was especially true for people of the same social class or circle. If you chose a different life path from them, everyone would have a different evaluation of you. This kind of evaluation would be more negative than positive. However, Song Ruyu had long been accustomed to other people's opinions of her. She didn't care about others' opinions of her because those opinions had no weight at all, and they had nothing to do with her. Those who liked Song Ryu were almost all tycoons, because Song Ryu had the ability to make them like her. This was also the most important reason why Song Ryu could become that man's student. In fact, Song Ryu wanted to go to this kind of gathering. She could have politely refused it, even though her best friend and other friends insisted for a long time. One of the reasons was that they wanted to meet her fiancé, Qin Sheng. Song Ryu knew that it would happen sooner or later, and Qin Sheng must have thought about it. Therefore, she agreed after hesitating for a moment, on the premise that Qin Sheng wouldn't refuse. As expected, Qin Sheng did not refuse and agreed almost without hesitation. Song Ryu was not surprised at all, because Qin Sheng had the same idea as her. This was the way they communicated with each other. There was no need to say too much or explain too much. They both understood each other. However, this way of communication seemed to lack the fun between a couple. Qin Sheng was dressed casually, not as exquisite as Song Ryu. However, he was also decent. He couldn't embarrass Song Ryu. After all, he was going to meet more of her friends today. As for why Song Ryu paid so much attention to this, it was because this was the first time that she would officially accompany Qin Sheng to such a gathering. It was also the first time that they appeared on the screen together as a couple. The dress that Song Ryu was wearing today was bought for her by Qin Ran and Zhao Anji some time ago. Not only was Qin Sheng stunned, everyone present at that time was also stunned. Coupled with a few decent accessories and a pair of high heels that showed off her height, Song Ryu was absolutely stunning today. On the way to Shuani, Qin Sheng said bluntly, "It's the first time that I've seen you like this. I almost didn't recognize you. This is not your style." "What? Don't you think you've made a profit?" Song Ryu asked directly. Qin Sheng coughed awkwardly and said, "Yes, yes." Not only did Song Ryu put on light makeup, but she also did her hair, which showed that she attached great importance to the party tonight. She smiled and replied, "Different occasions have different styles. I just don't like this kind of occasion. I prefer to deal with all kinds of documents and books, which is the place to realize my self-worth. However, it doesn't mean that I won't attend such a singing party. After all, I'm also a woman." "No, you're not a woman. You're a beauty," Qin Sheng said half-jokingly. Song Ryu smiled and said, "You're getting more and more direct now, because you like to be direct. Sometimes, you're even more direct than me, so I can only be this direct." Qin Sheng replied in this way. Following that, he said, "I finally know why so many young talents in Siju City like you. It seems that I may have met many rivals in love tonight." "Why? Are you afraid?" Song Ryu asked deliberately. Qin Sheng smiled and shook his head. "How could it be possible? I've seen this coming. I guess it's just the beginning." Song Ryu smiled and said nothing. After nearly an hour, they finally arrived at their destination, a private club that had not yet opened to the public. Although it was in the suburbs, it covered a large area. The big lawn and garden in front of it looked magnificent, which showed that the owner was either rich or noble. Moreover, since he could get in touch with Song Ryu's social circle, his background was definitely not simple. The two cars of the Qin family smoothly entered the manor and stopped in front of the main building. There were many luxury cars parked in the parking lot outside, which showed that many people had arrived. Before the waiter opened the door, the bodyguard of the Qin family quickly came to open the door. Qin Sheng and Song Ryu slowly got out of the car. As soon as Song Ryu got out of the car, one of her friends, who had been waiting for a long time, immediately came to her. She held Song Ryu's hands and exclaimed, "Oh, Ryu, you're so beautiful tonight. We haven't seen you for a long time. How can we live like this?" Song Ryu replied angrily, "Zhu, you're always so exaggerated. I'm not as beautiful as you. I'm not exaggerating. You're the goddess of our circle. We're just green leaves to complement the red flowers. Fortunately, Tong Tong is our best friend. Otherwise, she would think that you're here to make trouble." Zhu, a beauty in a gray fairy dress, said half-jokingly. Although Qin Sheng hadn't seen her before, he found her somewhat familiar. Song Ryu laughed and said, "All right, I can't win against you in an argument. Is everyone here?" "Here we are. It's going to be very lively tonight," Zhu said with interest, But she didn't explain because she had already noticed Qin Sheng, who was walking over and standing beside Song Ruyu. He was one of the main characters tonight. It was said that many friends came here for him. He was a hot topic in Sijio City now. Before Song Ruyu introduced him, Zhu took the initiative to look at Qin Sheng and asked, "You must be Qin Sheng, the public enemy of the young talents in Sijio City." Zhu. Song Ruyu stared at her best friend and said. Qin Sheng generously stretched out his hand and said, "I've always been a person who attracts hatred, so I don't mind a few more. But tonight, I can see a beauty like you. My name is Qin Sheng. Nice to meet you, Zhu." Zhu glanced at Song Ruyu and then turned to Qin Sheng. "You're such a glib talker. No wonder you have so many enemies. I really don't know why Ryu fell in love with you. I'll tell you the secret in advance. Be careful tonight, because many people are coming for you." Qin Sheng casually said, as expected. If the Qin family was in its heyday, Qin Sheng and Song Ruyu would definitely be a good match. Because Qin Sheng was Qin Chang'an's son, the Qin family and the Song family were old friends, and Qin Sheng had a relationship with the Zhu family. Everyone would think that he and Song Ruyu were absolutely a good match. Unfortunately, the Qin family had declined, so there was only the fickleness of the world and the indifference of human nature. Zhu was a little surprised. It seemed that Qin Sheng had prepared well, but she didn't know whether he could survive tonight. "Let's go in first. Tong is still waiting for you." Zhu took Song Ruyu's hand and walked inside with a smile. Qin Sheng followed her closely. Along the way, many people knew Song Ruyu and greeted her with a smile. Qin Sheng also saw some friends he knew, but he was not familiar with them, so he just smiled and nodded to greet them. More people pointed at Qin Sheng and quietly looked him up and down with interest. Many people were waiting to watch the fun, because tonight, the three most outstanding young people in Sijio City would all come. Song Husheng, Song Ruyu's brother, Chen Taihe, who had conflicts with Qin Sheng, and Su Xingwei, whose families had fallen out with each other. Wouldn't it be fun? This club was a modern building with various glass structures. Behind the main building was a very large swimming pool. Standing in front of the floor-to-ceiling windows, one could see the scene in the swimming pool. At this moment, there were already many people by the swimming pool. The open space in front of the swimming pool was filled with all kinds of delicious food and wine. More than 10 waiters were passing through the crowd with wine. Qin Sheng and Song Ruyu followed Zhu to the second floor, where the female protagonist of the birthday party tonight was greeting several close friends. When she saw Song Ruyu, the female protagonist, named Tong, immediately stood up and walked over with a very bright smile on her face. However, the attention of the beautiful women behind her was all on Qin Sheng, so they didn't shy away from looking at him. At the same time, Qin Sheng's reinforcements were also on the way, including Qin Rant's best friend Ma Weiyang. She had the confidence to support Qin Sheng. Zhu Jiao, who didn't know the immensity of heaven and earth, also came. If it weren't for the fact that Qin Sheng's cousins were not suitable to be on the stage, Zhu Jiao wouldn't have had a chance. Qin Ran had long known that many people came to the party with a purpose. Naturally, they were all targeting Qin Sheng. As Qin Sheng's sister, it was not convenient for her to be on the stage, but it was not a taboo for others. Chapter 949. Tonight was just an ordinary birthday party. However, the party suddenly became lively because of Qin Sheng's participation. Many rich playboys who were qualified to attend the party came to join in the fun. Almost all of them came for Qin Sheng. Many of them came to pick a fight with him, while others didn't want to miss the fun. After all, this was the first time that Qin Sheng and Song Ruyu attended such an event together after Qin Sheng and Song Ruyu announced their marriage. Their identities were different now. As the original protagonist of this birthday party, Tong, who was quite popular and famous in Sijio City, felt a little helpless. At first, when others encouraged her to invite Song Ruyu and her fiancé, Qin Sheng, to attend the party, Tong didn't think much about it. She thought that people just wanted to meet Song Ruyu, her fiancé. After all, he was more and more famous now. Moreover, he was the son of Master Qin who had just fallen into trouble, the successor of the Chong and department and the Qin family and the nephew of the Zhu family. Now, he was going to marry Song Ruyu, so it was reasonable for people to be interested in him. She was a famous socialite in Sijio City with a high EQ and IQ. Otherwise, she could become Song Ruyu's best friend. She could figure out what was going on after thinking about it calmly. She might have been used by others. After all, she was not familiar with some of them. She only had a little interaction with them in daily life. Some of them were so powerful that she couldn't even invite them. But today, they suddenly gathered together. How could it be simple? But Tong Tong had no choice. There were many people she couldn't afford to offend. Now that she was riding a tiger, it was hard to get off. Since so many people had come, she might as well not reject anyone. As long as they were willing to come, she would welcome them with a smile. At the very least, she could receive some gifts and favors. Besides, there were only so many people who could come and join in the fun and watch the fun. Those who were not qualified would definitely not come. As for Song Ryu, she could only explain it to her, hoping that Song Ryu could understand her. Otherwise, they might not even be friends in the future. Tong Tong had been waiting for Song Ryu and Qin Sheng, so she asked her best friend, Zhu Zhu, to contact Song Ryu and asked her to pick them up when she saw Song Ryu. Now, she finally saw Song Ryu. In order to prevent people with ulterior motives from using her as a weapon, Tong Tong stood up quickly and walked over before Song Ryu came over. Song Ryu whispered to Qin Sheng, "She is Tong Tong, the main character tonight. We've known each other since elementary school." Qin Sheng looked at the beautiful woman walking toward him with a smile on his face. It was said that beautiful women were always surrounded by beautiful women. This sentence was indeed a famous saying. No wonder many people said that when you saw a beautiful woman, you should not rush to chase after her. After a while, you would know that her best friend might be even more beautiful. Tong Tong was definitely the main character tonight. She was wearing a deep V-neck pink dress and a pair of crystal high heels, which made her look like a princess with outstanding temperament. Moreover, she was a princess. However, she was not as beautiful as Song Ryu, who was equally stunning. After Tong Tong came over, she took Song Ryu's hand and praised her with a smile. "Tut tut, the last time I saw you dressed like this was last year. Didn't someone confess to you at that time? Fortunately, I'm your best friend. If you go to other people's birthday parties like this next time, they will think that you're making trouble on purpose." "My beauty." Song Ryu found it funny and said, "Shall I go back and change?" "I'm kidding. You're a natural beauty. It's not your fault," Tong Tong replied with a smile. Song Ryu certainly knew Tong Tong's character. She usually liked to joke around. She didn't pay attention to her. She just handed the prepared gift to Tong Tong and said, "Happy birthday." "Thank you." Tong Tong took the gift. She just looked at it politely and gave it to the assistant next to her. After all, she had seen all kinds of gifts since she was a child. At this time, Tong Tong looked at Qin Sheng and said, "Is this the Qin family's Qin Sheng? I seem to have seen him somewhere last time. I didn't know him before, so I didn't say hello to him. I didn't expect that he would change his identity when we meet again. It's really interesting." Qin Sheng said lightly, "Happy birthday." "Thank you." Tong Tong smiled slightly and then said, "Shall we go to the balcony and talk for a while?" Song Ryu and Qin Sheng didn't refuse. They followed Tong Tong to the balcony. Standing on the balcony, they could directly see the panoramic view of the swimming pool below. At this time, there were already many people there. When they saw Qin Sheng, some people's eyes never left him. "There are many people here tonight." Tong Tong took the champagne from the waiter and said casually. At the same time, she gave Qin Sheng and Song Ryu a glass. Although it was the first time that she had officially met Qin Sheng, she didn't have any hostility toward him. Maybe it was because she felt guilty to Qin Sheng today. However, Tong Tong understood that others thought that Qin Sheng didn't deserve Song Ryu. After meeting her today, she felt that they were quite a good match. Maybe others hadn't met Qin Sheng yet, and just thought that the declining young master of the Qin family didn't deserve Song Ryu's fame. If it were in the past, probably not many people would say so. Tong Tong had known Song Ryu for many years. She could see that the relationship between Song Ryu and Qin Sheng was subtle. At least Song Ryu didn't dislike Qin Sheng. They had a tacit understanding. Tong Tong guessed that Song Ryu also liked Qin Sheng. Otherwise, based on her understanding of Song Ryu, she wouldn't agree to this marriage. Song Ryu joked, "Yes, it's very lively. Many acquaintances came. After all, Tong Tong is a famous lady in Siju City. She knows many people and is popular. Who doesn't want to give face to her? Don't make fun of me. I don't believe that you can't see it. If you continue to be like this, I will really be angry. You have no idea how much I regret asking you to come and dragging Qin Sheng here. Now, I even want to cancel this party," Tong Tong said with some uneasiness. She was telling the truth. Qin Sheng's eyes lit up. Song Ryu laughed and said, "Is it necessary? To be honest, I'm not familiar with many of them. Although I know them, I have never had any contact with them. Why do you think they came to my birthday party? Many of them are people that I can't even invite on normal days. They're all here for you and Qin Sheng. I guess they are on their way now." The smile on Tong Tong's face had disappeared. She became more and more nervous and worried. Song Ryu was a little surprised after hearing that. She had thought that only these friends wanted to meet Qin Sheng. She did not expect that there would be so many stories tonight. She looked at Qin Sheng subconsciously and asked for his opinion. If Qin Sheng wanted to leave, she could leave with him now. Qin Sheng was not surprised. Since he and Song Ryu announced that they were going to be engaged, even Song Ryu's brother wanted to teach him a lesson, not to mention those people waiting to see him make a fool of himself. How could these people miss such a rare opportunity? No matter if it was Tong Tong's or Juju's birthday party or someone else's, these people would come. They could hide for the first time, but they could not hide forever. It would happen sooner or later. Song Ryu's smile disappeared, and her face gradually became cold. "Oh, it seems that some people are using you as a tool. Ryu, don't misunderstand me. I didn't want to do this. I just realized it later, but it was too late." Tong Tong hurriedly explained. At this time, Qin Sheng took the initiative to say, "How could we misunderstand you? We should also apologize to you. I'm afraid that because of us, your birthday party may not be so smooth. Alas, these are all small things. I'm afraid that you will be targeted." Tong Tong did not expect that Qin Sheng would say this. She was a little moved, which also made her have a good impression on Qin Sheng. Song Ryu did not want to embarrass Tong Tong, so she asked Qin Sheng casually, "What do you say? Stay or leave? I think you'd better not provoke these people. I don't know who on earth will come. At that time, they will outnumber you, and you will be at a disadvantage." Tong Tong stood in the position of Qin Sheng and Song Ryu and said. Qin Sheng subconsciously looked down at the swimming pool and said disapprovingly, "Since we are already here, why should we leave? Even if we leave now, do you think these people will let us go?" After that, Qin Sheng continued to look down at the swimming pool. At this time, a few more people came, and in an instant, a few lively circles gathered. Qin Sheng saw Su Xingwei first. It seemed that he was one of the protagonists tonight. Then he saw Chun Taihe. Was he going to get back at them? Finally, Qin Sheng saw Song Husheng. He could not help but frown. Was Song Husheng also one of the protagonists? Song Ryu saw Song Husheng at first sight. Her face instantly became a little gloomy, and her eyes were full of displeasure. If Song Husheng was also one of the participants, she would be really disappointed. Chapter 950. I wish everyone a happy new year. May all your wishes come true and your wealth will be abundant. The counterattack is coming to an end. Lao Guan is also preparing a new book. New Year's book go go. Song Husheng, Chun Taihe, Su Xingwei, and Qin Sheng gathered together. Wasn't it lively? He just didn't know if they came prepared or if it was just a coincidence. Qin Sheng didn't believe it, nor did Song Ryu. They knew the answer after seeing each other. When Tong Tong saw the three of them appear at the same time, she couldn't help but have a headache. It was more troublesome than she thought. If they were to fight, she would probably be the first to become famous. Tomorrow, everyone would know that such a group of people fought at her birthday party. She glanced at Qin Sheng subconsciously, wondering how Qin Sheng had offended these people. He was really attracting hatred. Could it be true that the man Song Ryu had chosen was not a good man as the rumors said? Tong Tong didn't want to get involved in other people's troubles, nor did she want Qin Sheng and Song Ruyu to get into trouble. She took the initiative again and said, Ruyu, do you want to avoid them? Tong Tong, no need. I really want to see what they want to do. If your birthday party is ruined, I'll make it up to you later. Song Ruyu was a little angry. It was rare for her to be so tough. Tong Tong could see that Song Ruyu was angry. She knew that she couldn't persuade her anymore, so she didn't say anything more. At this time, Juju ran over and told Song Ruyu that several friends had arrived and wanted to meet Tong Tong, the princess of the night. Then, Juju dragged Tong Tong away. Before leaving, Tong Tong whispered something in Song Ruyu's ear, telling Song Ruyu not to pay attention to too many people and to endure many things. However, would others be willing to put up with it? After Tong Tong and Juju left, Qin Sheng and Song Ruyu were not in a hurry to leave. Many friends wanted to talk to Song Ruyu. After all, this was the first time that Song Ruyu had shown up on such an occasion since she had announced that she would be engaged to Qin Sheng. Many friends that Qin Sheng and Song Ruyu could not meet on normal days gathered together tonight. Song Ruyu frowned and said, Chun Taihe and Su Xingwei, the two of them must have come for you tonight. I wonder how they plan to deal with you. Qin Sheng said, half-jokingly, your brother is also here. I don't think they dare to do anything. You mean he'll help us? Song Ruyu was a little surprised. Qin Sheng played dumb and said, isn't it? Do you believe that? Song Ruyu asked angrily. Song Husheng had always been very firm on this matter. He firmly opposed her being with Qin Sheng. How could he help Qin Sheng tonight? Qin Sheng definitely knew that. Therefore, Song Ruyu knew that Qin Sheng was taking her feelings into consideration. Qin Sheng shrugged and said, okay, then I don't have any hope. As long as he doesn't hit me when I'm down, I can accept it even if he just stands by and does nothing. I hope so, Song Ruyu said calmly. At this time, several of Song Ruyu's friends came to her. However, this time, they didn't pay attention to Qin Sheng. Maybe they had already met him. After introducing each other, they took Song Ruyu away, saying that they hadn't seen her for a long time and wanted to have a good talk with her. Qin Sheng didn't say anything. He was not a 3-year-old kid. Although there were bound to be many accidents tonight, he couldn't stay with Song Ruyu. After all, he was not that kind of person. After Song Ruyu left, Qin Sheng stood on the balcony, holding a glass of wine and looking at the crowd below. He wanted to see who was here tonight. Indeed, he saw a lot of acquaintances, many of whom had conflicts with him. The rest of them had met on various occasions. However, Qin Sheng didn't attend many gatherings in Siju City, so he didn't know many of them. While Qin Sheng was looking at others, others were also looking at Qin Sheng. Song Husheng had his own circle, Su Xingwei had his own circle, and Chun Taihe had his own circle. This was caused by various factors. However, they were the absolute core of their respective circles, at least for the time being. But it might not be the case in the future. Who knew who was pretending to be a pig to eat a tiger? At that time, they might soar to the sky. After all, there are many people like that. Taihe, that guy is here. What do you want to do tonight? We will listen to you. We must help you vent your anger last time. Several people in Chun Taihe's circle gathered not far from the swimming pool. They had already looked at Qin Sheng and started to plan something. Chun Taihe, who was dressed casually, sipped his wine and said, what's the hurry? We are not the only ones tonight. I guess Su Xingwei is already eager to have a try. Let's wait and see. If it doesn't work out, we can take action. Lao Chun, do you need me to take the lead? Last time I wasn't there. If I had been there, he wouldn't have been able to behave atrociously. A man in a polo shirt beside Chun Taihe sneered. Chun Taihe said, half-jokingly, do you mean that you have brought the master from your family here tonight? Of course. At that time, if we really fight, we won't be at a disadvantage. What do you think? The man said happily. At this time, someone else said, I can understand why Su Xingwei is here tonight. But why is Song Husheng also here? This is his brother-in-law. If we target Qin Sheng at that time, and Song Husheng intervenes, I guess it won't be fun. As soon as the man finished his words, someone responded, Lao He, you don't know this. Song Husheng is firmly against this marriage. I heard that he and Qin Sheng are about to fall out. Even the relationship between him and his sister has been strained. So you can rest assured tonight. Song Hushing won't help you tonight. Maybe Song Hushing wants to see Qin Sheng make a fool of himself. The man suddenly understood and said, I see. No wonder you are so confident. Qin Taihe raised his head and looked at Qin Sheng, who was on the balcony, calmly. I'll let you be arrogant for a while. Later, you will suffer. Even if I can't ruin your reputation tonight, I will ruin your reputation in the circle of Sijio City. On the lawn next to the swimming pool, there were all kinds of wine and food. Su Xingwei was dressed formally tonight and brought a beautiful woman as his companion. At this time, he was surrounded by people in their circle. Everyone's identity was not simple. It could be said that they did not dare to do anything in their lives. They could all lie on the merit books of their ancestors and wait for death. Brother Su, are you also here for Qin Sheng tonight? A man who did not hang out with Su Xingwei recently, but just wanted to join in the fun today, asked tentatively. Su Xingwei said impatiently, Lao Tang, don't be afraid of making trouble. Why do I come for Qin Sheng? Brother Su, others don't know, but I do. Stop pretending. If you really want to do something, you can't leave me out. We grew up together, so I'll definitely help you. Old Tang replied with a smile. Everyone's attitude toward him was not very friendly. Who asked this kid to be a little arrogant recently? It was said that his uncle had been transferred to Sijio City from another province. Not only had he been promoted, but he had also been promoted to a department with real power. Su Xingwei said happily, Okay, then beat him up later. I will owe you a favor. That's not fun. Lao Tang curled his lips. Su Xingwei directly drove him away. Then do what you need to do. Lao Tang knew that it was not fun to stay here, so he made a few jokes and left. After Lao Tang left, others asked, Xingwei, what are we going to do tonight? If you can fight, don't talk. It's okay to suffer some losses, but it will ruin his reputation, Su Xingwei said bluntly. It seemed that what he said to beat Qin Sheng up just now was not a joke. The others echoed, Got it. It's just a fight. You don't need to do anything. We will do it. Compared with Su Xingwei and Qin Taihe, Song Hushing's side was relatively quiet. At this moment, he randomly found a seat and sat down. Opposite him sat a young man of the same age as him, who was persuading him earnestly. Hushing, you don't have to do this. Your family has agreed. Aren't you slapping them in the face by doing this? Song Hushing sneered. My family's my family. I am me. It's not the same thing. The man frowned and said, You look down on him so much. Song Hushing said directly, He doesn't deserve Ryu, but Ryu is willing. Based on her temper, won't she fall out with you if you do this? The man was a little confused. Song Hushing said disapprovingly, She can fall out with me. I am doing this for her own good. She will understand in the future. I really don't understand. But there are many people coming for Qin Sheng tonight. Don't be used by others. You will not feel good when you go home. The man kindly reminded him. Song Hushing said lightly, I know. I don't need you to remind me. The man did not say anything else. Upstairs, when Qin Sheng was about to leave, a familiar face appeared. It was Yang Yi, who had interacted with him a few times previously. After seeing Qin Sheng, Yang Yi directly came over. He was not afraid of anything. Anyway, he was familiar with everyone in this circle, and he was not familiar with them. Tonight, he heard that there would be such a show, so he deliberately came to join in the fun. Yang Yi walked up to Qin Sheng and said with a smile, I didn't expect that you would really come. Do you really not know or not? Qin Sheng asked, What about you? Are you here to watch the fun? Yang Yi replied, Would you believe me if I said I would help? Qin Sheng said calmly, I believe you, but there is no need. Yang Yi laughed and said, Well, when you really need it, don't be shy. Qin Sheng said confidently, I don't care about some things. What's the use of having more people? Aren't they just here to make trouble? Let's just fight together so that I don't have to face them one by one. You have a temper. I like it. Yang Yi directly gave Qin Sheng a thumbs up. Qin Sheng was really not afraid of being famous. He was going to become famous after one fight. At this time, it suddenly became noisy outside. It seemed that the birthday party was about to officially start. Song Ryu also walked out, ready to call Qin Sheng down. Yang Yi said casually. Let's go. Qin Sheng put down the wine glass and looked at all the people below. He showed a playful smile, as if saying, I'm here. Let's start your performance. Chapter 9, 51. Zhu Jiao, the funny guy. Everyone who was supposed to be there had arrived. The birthday party was finally about to begin. Everyone was looking forward to the big show, or they would have come in vain. Tong Tong, who was originally the main character, had already become an insignificant character. Even so, Tong Tong was still a little nervous. When the time came, if things couldn't be resolved, she would probably be the scapegoat. This was something she never thought of. Before Song Ruyu took Qin Sheng downstairs, she took some time to see Song Husheng. She really wanted to know why Song Husheng came here tonight. If Song Husheng was involved in this, Song Ruyu would be really angry. If not, she would not ask Song Husheng for help. She just hoped that he would mind his own business. In the past, the brother and sister often met each other. However, because of Qin Sheng's matter, their relationship had been strained. Therefore, the number of times they met each other could be counted on one hand. Now that Qin Sheng and Song Ruyu were engaged, the relationship between them was on the verge of breaking down, let alone meeting each other. Song Husheng came uninvited every time, and Song Ruyu could not wait to avoid him. It was definitely not an accident that they could meet here this time. When Song Husheng and his friend were about to go in, they happened to meet Song Ruyu. Song Ruyu's friend also knew Song Ruyu. Judging from Song Ruyu's expression, he knew that Song Ruyu was here for Song Husheng. He just smiled and said hello to Song Ruyu, then left. As an outsider, he had better not meddle in the affairs of the brother and sister. What? You're here too? Song Husheng took the initiative to ask. Song Ruyu said coldly, Shouldn't I be the one asking you this? Song Husheng casually explained, Tong Tong and I are friends. I even gave her a love letter. It's reasonable for me to celebrate her birthday with her. You're such a busy man. Do you have time to spare? Song Ruyu didn't bother to argue with him. Usually, he couldn't be invited because he had various reasons to avoid arousing suspicion. But today, he had come so openly and without fear of being criticized. There must be something wrong with this abnormal situation. Why bother to explain it with such a messy excuse? Song Husheng said lightly, What's the matter? Let's talk. Song Ruyu took the initiative to say. Song Husheng said indifferently, Then let's chat. Song Husheng led Song Ruyu to a quiet corner, where a couple had been reminiscing about old times. But when they saw Song Husheng and Song Ruyu, they hurriedly said goodbye and left. After they sat down, a waiter served 2 glasses of wine. Song Husheng took the red wine, took a sip, and asked, Tell me, what do you want to talk about? What are you doing here tonight? Song Ruyu asked bluntly. Song Husheng said happily, Didn't I say that it was Tong Tong's birthday? I gave her a birthday present. Others might believe that, but do you think I would? If you came alone, I would believe it. But if Chen Taihe and Su Xingwei came, do you think I will believe it? Are the 3 of you plotting something? Are you targeting Qin Sheng or me? Song Ruyu rarely talked to Song Husheng in such a tone, and the atmosphere between the brother and sister was rarely so intense. Song Husheng laughed and said, Ruyu, you're my sister. Why would I target you? Even if Chen Taihe and Su Xingwei came, it's their business. How could I interfere? As for who they are targeting, I don't know. But if they want to target you, they have to go through me first. Besides, they don't have the guts to do that. So they are targeting Qin Sheng? Song Ruyu said bluntly. Song Husheng shook his head and said, I told you, I don't know. You really don't know? Song Ruyu sneered. Song Husheng put down his glass and said, I know they're coming. I'm just here to join in the fun, just like most people here. As for what they want to do, I really don't know. Song Husheng, you're my brother. I believe you. But if I find out that you're colluding with them, don't blame me for telling my grandfather. Song Ruyu threatened Song Husheng. This should be the first time that she had threatened Song Husheng with such an attitude. Song Husheng was a little surprised and angry. After a long silence, he said, Ruyu, I'm your brother. How could you threaten me for that bastard Qin Sheng? I'm really disappointed in you. Song Ruyu suddenly stood up and shouted, Song Hushing, watch your words. Song Hushing said happily, I forgot. He's your fiancé. I really don't know what kind of drug Qin Sheng gave you. You actually agreed to this marriage. I'm really disappointed. Song Hushing said happily, it's my business. You don't have to worry about it. I just want to tell you that you'd better have nothing to do with what happened tonight. Otherwise, we'll see. Song Ryu said fiercely. She was no longer as calm as before. After saying that, Song Ryu directly stood up and left. She felt that she couldn't continue to talk with Song Hushing anymore. Otherwise, they would really quarrel. She forced herself to calm down, but she really couldn't. Not long after Song Ryu left, Song Hushing was so angry that he directly smashed his glass on the ground. He must make Qin Sheng pay. The grand birthday party finally began. Tong Tong came from a very rich family and married a good husband. Her husband was also in this circle, and many people knew him. Therefore, many people came tonight in the name of her husband. However, her husband was not in China recently. He had been on a business trip in Singapore, but he gave her a lot of money to prepare this birthday party. That was why it was so lively tonight. After saying goodbye to Yang Yi, Song Ryu left with Qin Sheng. Everyone had already arrived at the pool outside. Song Ryu and Qin Sheng greeted many friends along the way. Maybe the party was about to begin, so everyone's attention was no longer focused on Qin Sheng. The music started and the lights were flashing. The host announced the star of the party and signaled for everyone to be quiet. Then he asked everyone to applaud for tonight's main character, Tong Tong, who was wearing a dazzling long dress and a birthday crown that had been prepared beforehand. At least at this moment, she was really the most stunning beauty tonight. The host asked Tong Tong to say a few words. Tong Tong took the microphone and said a few simple words, such as thanking everyone for coming to her birthday party and for giving her so many gifts. She hoped that everyone would have a good time here tonight, and so on. Next, several of Tong Tong's best friends brought out the birthday cake. Everyone helped Tong Tong light the candles. The music stopped and the lights went out. Everyone sang the happy birthday song at the same time. Tong Tong closed her eyes and made a wish quietly. When everyone finished singing the happy birthday song, Tong Tong also opened her eyes. Everyone blew out the candles together. The music started and the party began. Unfortunately, Qin Sheng's allies, Ma Weiyang and Zhu Jiao, did not arrive at this time. They were stuck on the road. Zhu Jiao was so angry that he scolded, "What kind of F***ing road is this? How can we gamble like this? Even if I walk, we will almost arrive. Sister Ponytail, what should we do? If we are late, what if my cousin is bullied? How can I explain to my cousin later?" Ma Weiyang said calmly, "Don't worry. I guess the birthday party hasn't started yet." "Sister Ponytail, how can I not worry? What time is it? My cousin only took my sister-in-law there today. If they fight, no one will help them," Zhu Jiao said anxiously. Ma Weiyang laughed and said, "How do you know they will fight? Why do I feel that you can't wait to fight? F***ck, I don't care. Whoever dares to bully my cousin, I will definitely take action. If I can take action, I won't say anything," Zhu Jiao said fiercely. Ma Weiyang laughed and said, "Jiao, think about it carefully. Those who are going tonight are not ordinary people. Are you really not afraid of offending them? What's there to be afraid of? Anyway, I am in Shanghai. If they are not happy, they can come to Shanghai to take revenge. They can watch me trample them to death. At worst, the elders will help me clean up the mess. Anyway, I'm standing up for my cousin. If they don't care about me, I will go to my grandmother and make a scene." Zhu Jiao had already thought of a solution. Ma Weiyang nodded and said, "Not bad. You have a temper. I'm starting to like you. Sister Ponytail, we are not suitable for each other. I don't like relationships between older people and younger people," Zhu Jiao said. Ma Weiyang pinched Zhu Jiao and said, "At this time, you still want to take advantage of me. All right, we're talking about my cousin, right? Driver, can you hurry up? If you can't do it, we will crash into him," Zhu Jiao said incoherently. Ma Weiyang was somewhat helpless. How could this guy be a little devil? Fortunately, he was suppressed by his family in Shanghai. Otherwise, she did not know how much trouble he would cause. She had to persuade him and said, "Okay, Don't worry. I have an informant there. Everything is fine now. After Zhu Jiao heard that, he patted his thigh and said, "Oh, my sister. Why didn't you tell me earlier? You made me worry for nothing." That's good, that's good. Ma Weiyang did not know whether to laugh or cry. No wonder Qin Ran sent such a helper to her. He was so lawless. However, this was also true. Although Qin Sheng and Zhu Jiao were both nephews of the Zhu family, Zhu Jiao's father was now in the limelight. In addition, Zhu Jiao's family was not like the Qin family, who did not have any contact with the old lady. At that time, when Zhu Jiao was angry, others who wanted to fight with him would really have to weigh their own strength. At the birthday party, the atmosphere was very lively with the help of the DJ and others. Everyone had a good time and chatted congenially. However, they were limited to each other's circle. Even if they knew each other, they just greeted each other at most. Qin Sheng was introduced to Song Ruyu's bosom friend circle. It was the first time for most of them to meet Qin Sheng. In the past, they were only curious about him and heard rumors. Today, they finally saw him in person. Apart from the current situation of the Qin family, they felt that Qin Sheng was not as bad as the rumors said. At least, he left a good impression on them. This was also a measure taken by Song Ruyu to protect Qin Sheng. At least those people would not dare to make trouble for Qin Sheng unscrupulously. However, Qin Sheng did not like to be surrounded by a group of women. He was born to listen to all kinds of gossip, so he found a chance to sneak out of the bathroom. Moreover, he did not want to escape anything. Otherwise, he would have come here tonight in vain. Everyone was staring at Qin Sheng's whereabouts. So when Qin Sheng went to the bathroom, many people had a chance. As soon as he came out of the bathroom, Chuntaya finally could not help but directly choose to attack. Chapter 952. Gang up and attack him. Although Qin Sheng and Song Ruyu had come here together tonight, their target was only Qin Sheng. No one dared to offend Song Ruyu, not to mention Song Ruyu's background. The main reason was that Song Husheng was also here tonight. No one dared to provoke Song Husheng, who would lose more than they gained. After all, everyone now knew that Song Husheng hated this future brother-in-law very much and firmly refused the marriage. That was why they dared to target Qin Sheng tonight. They knew that Song Husheng would not intervene and would even stop Song Ruyu. Otherwise, if Song Ruyu intervened forcibly, the show would fail. After all, they could not directly target Song Ruyu. Since the beginning of the birthday party, everyone had been keeping an eye on Qin Sheng. However, they did not expect him to be so smart. He had been following Song Ruyu all the time, making it impossible for them to find a chance to attack him. It would be too unscrupulous for them to pick a fight with Song Ruyu directly. Therefore, they had been waiting for an opportunity for Qin Sheng to be alone. After Qin Sheng came out of the bathroom, he did not hurry to go back to Song Ruyu. Instead, he deliberately strolled by the pool. At this time, a rich playboy from Chuntaya's team walked over with a glass of wine in his hand. He directly stopped Qin Sheng and said, "Hey, isn't this Qin Sheng? Long time no see. Let's have a drink." Qin Sheng did not know the man in front of him. He was a little surprised and asked, "Who are you? Do we know each other?" "Although you don't know me, I know you. You beat up my brother in the equestrian club in the suburbs some time ago. I've been looking for you." The man who was dressed in fancy clothes said bluntly. Qin Sheng sneered and said, "Who was your brother?" "Sorry, I forgot." Qin Sheng's words did not irritate the man. He knew that the man in front of him was here to find fault. If he did not give him a chance, how could he continue the show? After hearing Qin Sheng's words, the man was not angry. Instead, he laughed and said, "It doesn't matter if you forget. Anyway, I will remember it. If you drink this glass of wine, I will pretend that nothing happened. What do you think?" After saying that, the man picked up a bottle of red wine from the table next to him and filled Qin Sheng's glass directly. He looked at Qin Sheng provocatively. Since the man came over, many people had been staring at this side. It did not occur to them that Chuntaya would take action first. After waiting for a whole night, there was finally something interesting to watch. At this moment, everyone was looking forward to it. They obviously felt the smell of gunpowder here, but no one took the initiative to come over to ease the tension. Song Ryu was far away, and she was surrounded by her girlfriends, so she didn't notice what was going on. What if I don't drink? Qin Sheng directly put the glass on the table next to him and directly refused. The man's attitude was also very tough as he said, "If you don't drink it, it means that you don't give me face." "Who are you? Do we know each other? Why should I give you face?" Qin Sheng replied stubbornly. This sentence completely ignited the man's anger. He put down the glass in his hand and pushed Qin Sheng fiercely without any warning. It should be known that the man had some martial arts skills. He knew Taekwondo and Sanda. The push was already very strong. At this moment, Qin Sheng was standing by the side of the pool. If he was not prepared, he would be directly pushed into the pool, which would be really embarrassing. However, the man underestimated Qin Sheng. After the man came to find trouble, Qin Sheng had been very vigilant. He was afraid that these guys would use some dirty tricks. It did not occur to him that they would be so direct. Consequently, when the man took action, Qin Sheng grabbed the man's shoulder fiercely and turned around to divert the force. In this way, he cleverly dodged the man's attack. On the contrary, he pushed the man into the pool. With a bang, the man fell into the pool, causing a splash, which instantly attracted a lot of people's attention. Many of those who had been staring at this side were somewhat disappointed, especially Chantai's friends. It did not occur to them that the one who fell into the pool was one of their own instead of Qin Sheng. This made it less fun. However, no matter who fell into the pool, everything was within their plan. After the man fell into the pool, he shouted at the same time, F***CKU. After this shout, such a big movement finally attracted everyone's attention. All the people on Chantai's side rushed over to help without hesitation. They were ready to surround Qin Sheng and attack him together. Song Ryu also heard the movement over there. She could not help but frown and ask, "What's going on?" She had been a little worried about what would happen tonight. Moreover, Qin Sheng had been out for so long and had not come back yet. She could not guarantee that something would happen. Therefore, after hearing the movement over there, she asked in a hurry. Someone saw that Qin Sheng was in conflict with others. He hurriedly told Song Ryu, "It seems that Qin Sheng is in conflict with others." Hearing this, Song Ryu's expression changed instantly. She immediately stood up and was ready to rush over to see what was going on. However, at this time, Song Hushing stood in front of Song Ryu and said bluntly, "Ryu, you better not go over there. Otherwise, you'll also be implicated. This is between Qin Sheng and them. It has nothing to do with you." Song Ryu asked loudly, "Song Hushing, what happened tonight really has something to do with you. What do you mean?" It did not occur to all the people present that Song Ryu and Song Hushing would actually have a conflict. This was out of everyone's expectation. They did not know what was going on. However, in order to avoid the disaster of the city gate and the embarrassment of the brother and sister, they all stood up and left one after another. After all, the scene over there was more interesting. Song Hushing explained with a smile, "This has nothing to do with me. I just know what happened. Qin Sheng offended Su Xingwei and Chen Taiha. That's why they want to make trouble for him tonight. If you go there now, it will only make things worse. It's better to let Qin Sheng solve it himself." Song Ryu did not bother to explain and directly shouted, "Get out of my way." Song Hushing replied calmly, "What if I don't? I'm your brother. Tonight, you have to listen to me, even if you don't want to recognize me." Upon hearing this, Song Ryu stared at Song Hushing. It did not occur to her that Song Hushing was actually such a person. In order to stop her marriage with Qin Sheng, he had resorted to all kinds of means. He just wanted to see Qin Sheng make a fool of himself. However, she would not allow it. On the other side, Chun Taiha and the others had already started to quarrel with Qin Sheng. They directly surrounded Qin Sheng and questioned him sternly. "Qin Sheng, what do you mean?" Qin Sheng smiled disapprovingly and said, "What do I mean? Are you asking me or him?" Chun Taiha sneered and said, "Qin Sheng, last time in the equestrian club, I didn't make a fuss about it because we often see each other. However, you have provoked me again and again. Do you really not take me seriously?" Qin Sheng responded with a smile. "Chun Taiha, You are a relatively famous person among the younger generation in Seijo City. If you really want to deal with me, you don't have to use such childish means. You know better than anyone else what is going on. Since Chun Taiha had already taken action, how could Su Xingwei just stand by and do nothing? Su Xingwei walked over slowly with several of his friends and said, "Wow, I was wondering who it was. It turns out to be the first young Master Qin of Seijo City. I heard that in order to save his family from disaster, first young Master Qin abandoned his girlfriend, who was far away in Shanghai, and pursued the talented girl of the Song family in Seijo City. No wonder he is so arrogant." As for the trivial things about Qin Sheng, many people definitely did not know. However, Su Xingwei knew it better than anyone else. He wanted to ruin Qin Sheng, so he directly made it public and let everyone know what kind of person Qin Sheng was on Earth. Someone immediately echoed Su Xingwei's words and said, "Yes, I heard that the girl accompanied the first young Master Qin to suffer a lot. Now, the first young Master Qin abandoned the girl for the sake of the family alliance. The girl cried so hard that she almost committed suicide." After hearing this, everyone burst into an uproar, no matter whether it was true or not. Upon hearing this, Qin Sheng's face became extremely gloomy. It did not occur to him that these people would be so vicious. They wanted to kill him completely. He pushed away the man in front of him, walked slowly to Su Xingwei and the others, and said, "Su Xingwei, say it again." Su Xingwei said with a smile, "Let me say it again. What did you do to deserve it? Why are you not going to admit it?" Then he looked at Qin Taihe and said, "Lao Chun, Qin Sheng has latched onto the Song family's thigh. Song Hushing is also here tonight. Be careful. He will get even with you later." After Su Xingwei finished his words, Qin Taihe immediately replied, "Child Su, it's impossible. I heard that Song Hushing did not like someone at all, but someone wanted to be close to him shamelessly. In order to pursue Song Hushing's younger sister, he really used all kinds of means. It's a pity that the talented girl of the Song family met the wrong person." In order to deal with Qin Sheng, Su Xingwei and Chun Taihe cooperated well with each other. Qin Sheng was going to be attacked by a group of people. It was up to Qin Sheng to deal with it. However, at this moment, Qin Ran and Ma Weiyang finally arrived. The moment they arrived at the door, Ma Weiyang's informant told her that there was already a disturbance here. Consequently, Zhu Jiao almost ran all the way here. Before he got close to them, he directly shouted, "F***CK, are you bullying my cousin? Do you think that you have more people? Come on." Battlefield literature. Chapter 953. Tonight's situation was set up for Qin Sheng. Those who were supposed to show up were about to show up. First, they set up a trap for Qin Sheng. Whether Qin Sheng fell into it or not, he would attract everyone's attention. Then, they attacked him together. Qin Sheng was only one person. How could he deal with so many people? Now, Qin Sheng's reinforcements finally arrived. They were Ma Weiyang and Zhu Jiao. Although there were only two of them, it was enough. Because Ma Weiyang's background could control the situation, no one dared to go too far. As for Zhu Jiao, he could be a spoiler. Tonight, he could be a domineering bully. Even if there was a fight and trouble, he could also rush forward. Zhu Jiao pushed through the crowd and rushed in. When he saw Qin Sheng being surrounded, he felt sorry and said, "Cousin, I'm late. Whoever dares to bully you tonight, I'll fight him to death. Let's see who dares to come." Most of the people present did not know Zhu Jiao. After all, Zhu Jiao often came to Beijing when he was a child. Since his grandmother moved to Shanghai, the number of times he came to Beijing every year could be counted on one's fingers. Most of the time, he stayed in Shanghai. Usually, he was more strict and less domineering. However, there were still people who knew Zhu Jiao. Piquan even called Qin Sheng cousin. "Who is this guy?" The crowd murmured at the same time. At the same time, they asked each other if they knew each other. Someone who was reckless shouted subconsciously, "Who the hell are you?" Zhu Jiao did not care who he was. Anyway, Sister Ponytail had already shown him the photos of those who he could not fight with tonight. It was just that those who had strong backgrounds. It was not that he did not dare to provoke them. It was just that he could not provoke them. After all, there were more troubles to clean up after them. But this guy was not one of them. So this guy was also unlucky to run into Zhu Jiao's muzzle. Zhu Jiao was worried about how to vent his anger. Seeing this guy stand out, he walked over unhurriedly and slapped him in the face. At the same time, he shouted, "My name is Zhu Jiao, and I come from Shanghai. Do you hear me?" No one had expected that Cheng Yao Jin, who had appeared out of nowhere, would be so arrogant that he directly started to beat people without saying anything. However, the crowd also heard Zhu Jiao's name, especially that he was from Shanghai. Coupled with the fact that he had called Qin Sheng as his cousin just now, they instantly understood Zhu Jiao's identity. He was Zhu Changshuan's son and Zhu Weiguo's nephew, which was much more precious than Qin Sheng's identity. Originally, the guy who had been slapped wanted to fight back. No one could swallow this insult after being slapped in front of everyone. However, before he could do anything, two people directly pulled him back and whispered something in his ear. After hearing that, the guy's expression changed instantly. After thinking for a while, he finally chose to let it go. In addition, the two people next to him kept persuading him, which could be considered as giving him a way out. After this guy was pulled away, the rest of the people on the scene already knew Zhu Jiao's identity. Zhu Jiao was taking the initiative to make the fight happen. Anyway, even if he suffered a loss, it would be fine. He could get back at them later. Su Xingwei and Chen Taihao looked at each other and didn't know how to deal with this little devil. They couldn't attack him directly. Otherwise, they would have to pay a big price. At that time, they would not only have to face Zhu Jiao, but also several other childs of the Zhu family. However, Zhu Jiao did not stop there. He pressed on and said, "Anyone else? Who dares to insult my cousin? Come out and try to say it again. I want to see how awesome you are." It did not occur to Qin Sheng that Zhu Jiao would come here. It did not occur to him that this guy would be so domineering. As soon as he came up, Zhu Jiao directly took action. Compared to him, Zhu Jiao was much more direct. It seemed that he had not doted on this guy for nothing. At the critical moment, he was quite powerful. At this time, Ma Weiyang also arrived late. She said angrily, "Yo, why are there so many acquaintances here tonight? Are they here to watch the fun or to make trouble? So many people bully my younger brother. What kind of people are they? If they are capable, come at me. I want to see who has the guts to do so." Well, Zhu Jiao, the little devil, was already a headache. Now, Ma Weiyang, the queen with a bad temper, was also here. In this case, it was more suitable that no one dared to provoke Zhu Jiao anymore. It did not occur to them that this down-and-out child had so many helpers. Zhu Jiao pointed at Su Xingwei and Chen Taihao on purpose and said, "Sister Ponytail, it seems that these people are here. Do you know them?" Ma Weiyang cooperated and said, "Of course. How could I not know them? They are famous in Sijio City. You are far away from them in Shanghai. It is normal that you don't know them. So, come to Beijing when you are free in the future. I will introduce you to these brothers and sisters." Su Xingwei and Chen Taihao looked at each other. It did not occur to them that things would develop in this way. It seemed that they had made a mistake. They should have expected it. After all, it was such a big scene. It was impossible for Qin Sheng to sit still and wait for death. Zhu Jiao said happily, "Okay, sister. I will come often in the future." Ma Weiyang turned around and walked to Qin Sheng. She patted his shoulder and said in a low voice, "Brother, don't be afraid. I will protect you." After that, Ma Weiyang walked to Chen Taihao and Su Xingwei and said, "Are you the one who did this tonight? Is it interesting?" Chen Taihao did not want to provoke Ma Weiyang, especially when he heard that Ma Weiyang's father might be re-elected. This was more powerful than anything else. No one wanted to get into trouble with her. So Chen Taihao said, "Sister Ponytail, I don't have time to do this. I am here to celebrate Tong Tong's birthday tonight." Ma Weiyang looked at Su Xingwei and said, "Then it is you." Su Xingwei did not respond to Ma Weiyang. It was not that he did not dare to provoke her. He just did not want to deal with this crazy woman. At this moment, someone suddenly shouted, What if I say it is me? It did not occur to Ma Wei-yong that someone dared to provoke her in front of everyone. She looked over subconsciously. When she saw who it was, she was not surprised. It turned out to be Song Husheng. It did not occur to her that Song Husheng hated Qin Sheng so much. Ma Wei-yong naturally knew Song Husheng. She was very familiar with him. So she said bluntly, "Song Husheng, is it interesting?" Song Husheng sneered and said, "What do you mean by interesting? Qin Sheng cheated my sister's love. Can't I say something? Doesn't he admit that he abandoned his girlfriend in Shanghai? Do I need to say the name? Besides, this is our Song family's business. What does it have to do with you?" Song Husheng had shed all pretense of cordiality. He did not care who was present. He just wanted to ruin Qin Sheng's reputation. Ma Weiyang could deal with Su Xingwei and Chen Taihe, but she did not know how to deal with Song Husheng. After all, it seemed to be true. If she went too far, others would only blame her, which put her in a difficult position. However, before Ma Weiyang could fight back, Song Ruyu, who came from behind, said angrily, "Song Husheng, have you had enough? How am I not done messing around? I am your brother. This is all for your own good. I want you to know Qin Sheng's true colors. He is lying to you," Song Husheng said righteously. Song Ruyu retorted, "This is my business. It has nothing to do with you. If you continue to make trouble like this, I won't call you my brother anymore. You really let me down." Facing Song Ruyu, Song Husheng said, "Even if you don't want me to be your brother, I'll continue. Anyway, I won't agree to your marriage, even if everyone in the Song family agrees." Song Husheng looked at Song Ruyu and said without hesitation. Song Ruyu was really a little confused tonight because of Song Husheng's anger. She did not expect that Song Husheng would do this. She had to walk to Qin Sheng with red eyes, held his hand, and said, "Qin Sheng, let's go." Song Husheng still blocked their way recklessly. He said with a sullen face, "You can go, but Qin Sheng can't. I have something to discuss with him." The others present did not dare to intervene. This was completely an internal affair between the Qin family and the Song family. Anyway, they were just onlookers, so they continued to watch. Su Xingwei and Chen Taihe were complacent. Fortunately, Song Husheng stood out at the last moment. Otherwise, they would have come here in vain. It seemed that the enemy's fortress had to be broken from the inside. This time, Qin Sheng did not let Song Ruyu stand out. He faced Song Husheng and said, "We will deal with each other later. I will only say this once. Get out of my way." "What if I don't?" Song Husheng did not take Qin Sheng seriously at all. He sneered. Qin Sheng did not talk nonsense. He immediately stepped forward and grabbed Song Husheng's shoulder. Before Song Husheng came to his senses, Qin Sheng suddenly exerted force on his feet and directly threw Song Husheng into the swimming pool. The poor Song Husheng flew away just like that. All the people present were in an uproar. At this time, Qin Sheng directly left with Song Ruyu. Chapter 954. The farce finally came to an end. People from all walks of life showed up one after another. The Qin family and the Song family suffered losses. Song Husheng would definitely be punished for what he had done tonight. Song Husheng had been thrown into the swimming pool. It was estimated that he would become the biggest joke in Siju City recently. Qin Sheng could not be blamed for this. If he had not been really angry, he would not have done this. After all, this would have put Song Husheng in a very difficult position. However, Song Husheng was so aggressive. Qin Sheng could not blame Song Husheng for this. He had no choice but to do this. Since Song Husheng was heartless, he could not be blamed. It had never occurred to Qin Sheng that Song Husheng would be so unscrupulous and even disown his sister, Song Ruyu, in order to stop him from doing this. Song Ruyu had tried her best to control her emotions, but Song Husheng continued to challenge her bottom line. In the end, Qin Sheng could only clean up the mess. Anyway, Song Husheng did not recognize him as his brother-in-law, so he did not need to take him seriously anymore. Qin Sheng wanted to leave. Song Husheng had already served as a warning, so naturally, no one dared to continue to stop them. This Qin Sheng even dared to throw a person like Song Husheng into the swimming pool, so naturally, he did not take them seriously. He was really crazy and arrogant enough. Tonight, he really became famous after this fight. Tomorrow, Qin Sheng's name would go one step further, but no one knew if it was good or bad. After Qin Sheng left, Ma Weiyang and Zhu Jiao naturally followed him and left. Poor Ma Weiyang and Zhu Jiao, who had been stuck in a traffic jam for a long time, had to leave after staying for less than 10 minutes. They would definitely blackmail Qin Ran later. The others also left one after another. Anyway, the birthday party was coming to an end. The real protagonists had all left, so there was no more fun to watch. It was better to leave first. Su Xingwei and Chen Taihe cast a sidelong glance at Song Hushing, who had fallen into the pool and left while holding back their laughter. They had to leave as soon as possible so that Song Hushing would not vent his anger on them. Anyway, their purpose tonight had been achieved. Song Hushing's friends were also helping him get out of the pool. At this moment, Song Hushing was on the verge of going berserk. On their way out, Su Xingwei and Chen Taihe said half-jokingly, "If Song Hushing had not shown up at the inn tonight, all our previous efforts would have been in vain. Fortunately, we achieved our goal. Now, Qin Sheng will have a bad reputation in Siju City. That's why I said we still have to rely on Lao Song. He's a ruthless person. When he's ruthless, he won't even acknowledge his own sister. Look at us, we can't do it," Chen Taihe said cheerfully. Su Xingwei sighed with emotion and said, "It's still a bit disappointing. If Ma Weiyang and Zhu Jiao hadn't appeared halfway, Qin Sheng's name would have spread far and wide. Let's see how he could show off in Siju City in the future. Even if he married Song Ryu, so what?" Chen Taihe echoed as he said, "We should be content with what we have. As long as he is still in Siju City, he will have many opportunities in the future. After all, we don't need to offend Ma Weiyang and Zhu Jiao." Su Xingwei was silent. He nodded and said, "You're right." Chen Taihe frowned and said, "But if we do so, we will definitely offend many people." Su Xingwei said disapprovingly, "Haven't we offended enough people?" In a delicious restaurant in Wangjing, after Qin Sheng and Song Ryu came back from Shuni, Ma Weiyang asked them to come here for supper. It was estimated that they had not eaten much tonight. No matter what had happened, the most important thing was to fill their stomachs. If they were in a bad mood, they could drink a few more glasses of wine. Ma Weiyang said indignantly, "What happened tonight must have been planned by Su Xingwei and Chen Taihe. I really didn't expect that they would collude with each other." The Qin family was already in a difficult situation. Who would have thought that so many people would hit them when they were down? Qin Sheng was not surprised as he said, "As long as there is a common enemy, there will be common interests. Last time in the equestrian club in the suburbs, I had a conflict with Chen Taihe. He has been holding a grudge against me. It is only a matter of time that he will make trouble for me. As for Su Xingwei, it is even simpler. The Su family has been standing on the opposite side of the Qin family in the Chong and group. Naturally, Su Xingwei will try his best to deal with me." Zhu Jiao muttered, "Cousin, you don't have to worry about this. Next time I meet them, I will beat them up for you. As for what will happen later, we will talk about it later. They have gone too far." If Sister Ponytail had not told him on the way that he should follow her arrangement, he would have beaten up Su Xingwei and Chen Taihe instead of that man. Since he had chosen to go there tonight, Qin Sheng knew what might happen. He had already thought of the worst result, which was far from the worst result. So he did not take it seriously. It was nothing more than slandering him. The only thing that made him a little angry was Song Hushing. Song Hushing really disgusted him. He used to admire Song Hushing, but now he hated Song Hushing very much, even more than Su Xingwei and Chen Taihe. He was so selfish that he did not care about Song Ryu's thoughts and feelings at all. He only cared about whether he was satisfied or not. Did I abandon your ancestors in my previous life? You don't have to worry about these things. By the way, why did you come here all of a sudden? Qin Sheng asked curiously. Ma Weiyang explained honestly, "It's because of the big commotion tonight. Too many people know about it. Many people are here to watch the fun. So someone told your sister, and she asked me to come here with Jiao. She doesn't want to make things worse. Otherwise, it won't be just the two of us who will come here." Qin Sheng nodded silently and said, Oh, I see. Ma Weiyang continued. To be honest, I can understand why Su Xingwei and Chen Taihe bullied you. But I did not expect Song Husheng to be such a person. If I meet him next time, I will definitely curse him to death. Qin Sheng said, Sister Ponytail, it's over. Let's not talk about it. I know he has feelings for me. Qin Sheng shook his head. He did not want to talk about it. After all, Song Ruyu was here, which made Song Ruyu feel embarrassed. He was absent-minded at this moment. Zhu Jiao was sensible and said, Brothers and sisters, let's not talk about these annoying things. Let's eat meat and drink wine. It's better than anything else. Ma Weiyang patted Zhu Jiao's head and said, You are really good at talking. I really like you. Come to Beijing more often in the future. I will take you out more often. Okay, Sister Ponytail, I'll come often. Just don't bother me, Zhu Jiao said with a smile. After supper, everyone left. They didn't drink much wine, just 2 bottles each. Even Song Ruyu drank 1 bottle. Zhu Jiao and Ma Weiyang left together. Zhu Jiao sent Song Ruyu home first. He guessed that his sister and aunt were already waiting for him at home. On the way back, Song Ruyu seemed to be a little tired. She took the initiative to lean on Qin Sheng's shoulder and blamed herself. I'm sorry. Why are you apologizing? You're not to blame for what happened tonight. It's Song Husheng's fault. You've tried your best. It's just that Song Husheng is a little crazy. Qin Sheng subconsciously held Song Ruyu's hand and comforted her. Song Ryu knew that Qin Sheng would not say anything, but he definitely felt uncomfortable in his heart. If it were Su Xingwei or Chen Taihe, Qin Sheng could ignore it. However, Song Husheng was her brother, and Qin Sheng had to care about her feelings. However, Qin Sheng threw Song Husheng into the swimming pool in the end, which surprised Song Ryu. It seemed that Qin Sheng was really angry. I'll have a good talk with him later, Song Ryu said. No matter what, Song Husheng was her brother after all, and she couldn't deny it. However, she would definitely tell her family about it, and they would definitely punish Song Husheng. Qin Sheng frowned and said, There's nothing to say. If he wants to hurt me, I'll just wait. Alas, Song Ryu sighed and didn't know what to say. Half an hour later, Qin Sheng sent Song Ryu to her apartment. When he was about to leave, Song Ryu took the initiative to invite him. You haven't been to my house yet, right? Come up and have a seat. Qin Sheng was a little surprised and subconsciously froze for a few seconds. He didn't know what Song Ryu meant, but he didn't let his imagination run wild. After all, Song Ryu was not a casual person, and he didn't want to make too much progress with her. What's wrong? Song Ryu didn't think too much. However, seeing Qin Sheng's reaction, she seemed to think of something and blushed in embarrassment. After coming to his senses, Qin Sheng felt that it was not a big deal. After all, they were going to be engaged soon. Besides, he just wanted to go up and have a seat. In the end, he agreed. When Qin Sheng and Song Ryu went home, the fight in Dalian had already started. Gongsun and Nan Gong didn't need to think too much to know that it must be Song Shixin's doing. Chapter 955. There were not many people in Dalian. There were only Debao, Erbao, and a housekeeper who did the cleaning and cooking. The housekeeper would get off work at 7 o'clock in the evening. She lived in a nearby community, not far from here. Both of his daughters had married in other places, so they had nothing to do most of the time, so they found such a leisurely job. As for Debao and Erbao, although they lived here, they had other things to do most of the time. If Gongsun and Nan Gong did not come to Dalian, they would not come here often unless their master, Zhuangzhou, returned to Dalian. Therefore, this single courtyard was usually quite quiet. Who would have thought that the arrival of Gongsun and Nan Gong would break the tranquility and actually attract these extremely audacious demons and monsters? They really did not want to live anymore after provoking the Tai Sui. Although Debao and Erbao often bickered for fun and wanted to talk to beautiful women like Nan Gong, they would not hesitate when it came to serious business. This courtyard almost never had a power outage all year round, even in the summer. After all, China was not like those Southeast Asian countries, especially Brother Asen, who could drink a bowl of Ganges river water. Therefore, it was definitely not normal for the power to suddenly go out at night. Following the movements, everyone knew that danger was coming. DeBeo and Urbao had a clear division of labor. One went to the front yard, and the other went to the backyard. With their strength, they naturally had to kill the danger. Otherwise, if something happened to Gong's son and Nan Gong here, it would be difficult to explain to their master. After DeBeo went to the front yard, he immediately saw a figure swaying in front of the door. Without hesitation, he rushed up. He wanted to see who was so audacious to actually dare to cause trouble here. It seemed like he didn't want to live anymore. The figure could not tell whether it was a man or a woman, but it did not run away. It actually gave DeBeo a provocative middle finger. Although there was no light due to the power outage, the moonlight tonight was not bad. Therefore, how could DeBeo not see the other party's gesture clearly? This made DeBeo even more angry. Damn it, this bully is too much. Therefore, Zhao DeBeo rushed over without hesitation. He didn't even greet him. He directly kicked the other party's face. If I don't beat you to the ground and call you daddy, I'm not Zhao DeBeo. Seeing that Zhao DeBeo was coming at him aggressively, the opponent did not dare to face him head-on. He chose to take 2 steps back, and when DeBeo landed on the ground, he lifted his knee and slammed it. The opponent's speed was not very fast, so DeBeo did not take it seriously. He fiercely stomped his foot and directly grabbed the opponent's knee. Then, with a loud roar, he threw the opponent away. Only now did the other party feel the threat of DeBeo and no longer dare to underestimate him. Otherwise, he would definitely die here tonight. Thus, after getting up, he chose to avoid DeBeo's attacks and focus on defense. DeBeo could already tell that the other party was a man. If he didn't have the strength to provoke him, then he was just courting death. DeBeo couldn't take this lying down, so he charged forward once more. This time, it was a close-range fight. It all depended on whose fist was harder. After they collided, DeBeo's fist landed on the opponent's shoulder, followed by a series of punches. Each punch was stronger than the one before, and the opponent was forced to retreat step by step. He didn't even have a chance to defend himself. He really didn't know where this guy got the courage to pick a fight with him. DeBeo was more cautious at first, thinking that this kid was deliberately pretending to be a pig to eat the tiger. However, after such a long time, DeBeo felt that the opponent was definitely not pretending to be a pig to eat the tiger. He was just a pig opponent. Therefore, DeBeo didn't continue to fight. He grabbed the opponent and threw him away, determined to subdue him. The man did not expect DeBeo to be so strong. If this continued, he would definitely be played to death. When that time came, it would be terrible if he was caught. However, when he thought about the people who were here, he stood up and pointed his middle finger at DeBeo again. When DeBeo was angered, the man turned around and ran without hesitation. Ran away? He ran away just like that? DeBeo was somewhat dumbfounded, but he definitely wouldn't let the man run away just like that. What kind of place did he think this was? That he could come and go as he pleased? Watch how I won't kill you when I catch you. Therefore, DeBeo chased after him. Because the backyard was near the sea, no matter who it was, there wasn't much opportunity to hide. When DeBeo arrived at the backyard, he felt that something was wrong. Just as he was feeling puzzled, there was suddenly a flash of cold light. This was the reflection of the moonlight. DeBeo subconsciously took 2 steps back, only to see a dagger brush past his ear. DeBeo broke out in a cold sweat, but he wasn't frightened by this. He quickly closed in and charged at the opponent. No matter who he was tonight, if he dared to come here tonight, he wouldn't be able to leave. This was DeBeo's subconscious thought. Unexpectedly, the opponent didn't seem to be in a hurry. He fought and retreated at the same time. In the end, he even ran a distance before launching a counterattack. DeBeo didn't think about this at all. He didn't know that he had already fallen into a trap. Whether it was DeBeo, because they wanted to take down the opponent, they had already fallen into the opponent's trap. Because the opponent's target was not them, but Gong's son and Nan Gong, the 2 guests who came from afar. In the living room, Gong's son was still sitting there, unmoved. Nan Gong stood there quietly, guarding Mr. Gong's son. She only had one task in Dalian, which was to protect Mr. Gong's son. Other things had nothing to do with her. However, if someone wanted to harm Mr. Gong's son, then they couldn't blame her. After DeBayo and DeBayo were transferred away, it didn't take long for other movements in the living room. A man wearing a hat slowly walked into the living room. He came alone, without anyone following him. However, since he was so confident, his strength was naturally not simple. Otherwise, he would just be courting death. After hearing the movement, Nangong subconsciously wanted to take action, but Gongsun waved his hand to signal her to stay still. The man entered the living room, but did not approach Gongsun and Nangong. After a few steps, he stopped, looked at Gongsun, and said, "Mr. Gongsun, Dalian is not a place where you should be. You'd better go back. Did Song Shirshin send you here, or someone else?" Gongsun said calmly. The man laughed and said, "Mr. Gongsun, you don't have to ask who it is. I'm just here to persuade you. Otherwise, if you stay for too long, I'm afraid you will be in danger." "Are you threatening me?" "I'm afraid Song Shirshin doesn't have the guts." "Who gave Song Shirshin the confidence?" Gongsun said disdainfully. Now that the Qin family was in danger, Song Shirshin could indeed hit them when they were down. However, Gongsun absolutely did not believe that he would dare to be so unscrupulous. The only explanation was that someone was supporting him from behind. In that case, who would support Song Shirshin to betray the Qin family? Of course, it was the Qin family's enemy. The man sneered and said, "Mr. Gongsun, I'm reminding you out of kindness. I don't mean to threaten you. After all, this is Dalian, not Beijing. You'd better think carefully before you speak, in case you regret it later. Song Shirshin is just a dog of the Qin family. What did a dog dare to talk to its master like this? Has he grown up, or has he been a local tyrant for too long? Does he think that no one dares to do anything to him? Go back and tell Song Shirshin that if he doesn't want to die too quickly, he should be a coward. If he really wants to change his master, he has to ask whether the real master agrees or not." Gongsun said confidently. This time, he came to Dalian to solve Song Shirshin's problem. If Song Shirshin was a coward, it would be okay. If not, he had a way to make Song Shirshin get out of the Qin family. Of course, the premise was that he would get nothing. After listening to Gongsun's words, the man frowned and said, "Is this your answer?" "This is not my answer. This is the Qin family's response. How dare an insignificant Song Shirshin show off in front of the Qin family? If it weren't for the fact that the Qin family has been so busy recently, do you think you would have the guts to act recklessly? But don't forget that a skinny camel is still bigger than a horse. How dare an insignificant ant like him jump out and make trouble? He thinks that he is so arrogant because he is latched onto someone's thigh. He is just a chess piece that can be sacrificed at any time. Let him think carefully and see me later." Gongsun continued. The man laughed and said, "Okay, Mr. Gongsun, I will definitely tell you. I just hope that you won't regret it. Get out of here. I won't kill you today. Next time you come, it won't be so easy for you to leave." Gongsun waved his hand and said, he was just a small fry. He was not in the mood to deal with him. The man did not hesitate. This time, he came to give a warning. Similarly, it would not be him who came next time. However, when a man just turned around and was about to leave, Nangong was already standing in front of him. The man's expression changed instantly, but he forced himself to be calm. He heard Nangong say gloomily, "Since you are here, you have to bring some gifts back, don't you?" Before the man came back to his senses, the dagger in Nangong's hand had already been inserted into the man's shoulder. The man's heart-wrenching roar could be heard. Unfortunately, he was kicked out of the living room by Nangong. She had thought that the man was a powerful man who came alone, but he was just a piece of trash. The man turned pale with fright. In the end, he fled. You're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.